A fine good evening, friends. Joining you from PNC Field tonight, the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders and Syracuse Mets on the Yes Network. Thank you so much for making us a part of your Thursday night. Brendan Beck on the mound for Scranton Wilkes-Barre against Clay Holmes on a Major League rehab assignment for the Syracuse Mets. It's country night at PNC Field, and we are happy to have you along for the fun this evening at the ballpark in Music. I'm Adam Marco alongside Jim Coles. Jim, a pleasure to be back with you here on the Yes Network. Scranton Wilkes-Barre coming off a loss yesterday. Syracuse taking down a 5-4 decision. The Rail Riders in a big way in Tuesday night series opener. It's a very good Shelley Duncan team right now. They've been outstanding in this second season, and excited to see where this set takes us this evening with a premier pitching matchup.
Yeah, the first game of the series, 6 errors really hurt Syracuse and helped the Rail Riders. Last night, a couple of opportunities. First inning, George Lombard gets on, then back-to-back doubles brings in a couple of runs. Put a lot of left down base, and that was the situation last night. Tonight, we have a really good pitching matchup, so the opportunities may not be there, but the last 2 nights, it had opportunities. Game 1, they won. Last night came up just a little bit short, 5-4.
Couple of doubles in the first inning to build a 2-0 lead. Actually took the advantage even further, but Syracuse forged ahead. Scranton Wilkes-Barre battled back, and then late on in the game, a former Yankees prospect in Eric Wagaman coming through with a bases-loaded 2-run single. That proved to be the difference maker. Scranton Wilkes-Barre did get a couple of base runners in the bottom of the 8th inning, went 3 up, 3 down in the last of the 9th, and they could not come away with Game 2's win. So this evening we come back, Brendan Beck against Clay Holmes. Beck has been one of the best pitchers in the International League, in AAA baseball. He's had a couple of chances in the big leagues. That's not really who he has been this season for Scranton Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah, he's been the ace of the staff. 3.09. The ERA is great. 93 in the third innings pitched, 93 strikeouts. Obviously a strikeout an inning. Doesn't really walk guys, only 68 hits, so the base runners aren't getting on. And on the major league level, he had 2 opportunities, and they were both mediocre. But at this level, at AAA, he's really been in there hitting all 4 quadrants and getting ahead and then putting guys away with a slider.
Twice over an International League Pitcher of the Week, and for June, the Pitcher of the Month. That's just how good he has been at this level, his second year in AAA. On the flip side, Clay Holmes coming back from that fractured fibula. It happened on May 15th against the New York Yankees. It was a 111-mile-per-hour line drive. He was able to run it out to first to try to make the play. It was a Spencer Jones liner back off of Clay Holmes. A tough injury there. The Mets season kind of indicative of that, but Holmes back trying to work his way as we make our way to the end of July to be a factor for New York or perhaps somewhere.
Right, and that's a very good point, because with the Yankees, he was a 2-time All-Star 2022, 2024 in the bullpen, one of 7 Yankee pitchers to have 20 saves 3 different years. And then the Mets took him as a free agent, and he was outstanding. 31 starts last year, was outstanding as far as batting average against, 4th in the major leagues, and he's a really good pitcher. At age 33, is he going to be a Met? The 11 days away from the trade deadline. This is an opportunity for Clay. It's an opportunity for the Mets, but it might be an opportunity for every other team in baseball to see, do you want him in the rotation? Do you want him in the bullpen? Because either way, he's been very effective.
Anticipating about 3 innings or so from Clay Holmes in his first rehab appearance since that injury back in May. Scranton Wilkes-Barre has been very good in this second season. They've taken each series so far. Durham is in front. The second half started up on June 23rd. You see how good Durham has been. Indianapolis is in that mix. Scranton Wilkes-Barre at 14-7. They came off a series at Buffalo. They took 4 out of 6 against the Bisons. Out of the big league break, 2 out of 2 against the Worcester Red Sox. One of the hallmarks of really the last 2 weeks, second half for Scranton Wilkes-Barre, the offense getting double-figure hits each game during this homestand. You know, it's 4 games in so far with 1 postponement, but it happened a lot during the Buffalo series as well. Now, Tuesday and Friday in the Buffalo set prior to the big league break, they racked up 2 17-hit games. They have put the offense together in this second season. You add J.C. Escarra. You get George Lombard Jr. back. He's not in the lineup tonight. Spencer Jones, Oswaldo Cabrera. There's a ton of talent out there.
Yeah, and Escarra's been playing a lot more. When he was with the Yankees, it was once a week, and there he is. A good look at J.C., and he'll be batting leadoff with Lombard, just getting a rest. There's no injury. Everything was good. He was tremendous in the game last night as the Rail Riders take the field.
Take a look at the starting lineup for the Syracuse Mets. They are managed by John Nagowski. Leading things off, Nick Morabito. Number 10 prospect in the New York Mets organization. MJ Melendez bats second. Ronnie Mauricio hitting third, the DH. Christopher Morel at first. Ryan Clifford in right field. He's the number 2 prospect in the system. Eric Wagaman, as mentioned, a former Yankees farmhand. Bottom third of the order, Christian Arroyo, Hayden Sanger, and Zach Short. Short was with the Yankees during spring training, traded over to the Nationals, time with the Tigers system, and now on to the Mets for the longtime veteran infielder. Morabito, Melendez, Mauricio, Morel, Clifford, Wagaman, Arroyo, Sanger, and Short up against the right-hander Brendan Beck. He has been the rock of this rotation. We talk about it a lot, the fact that you see Beck, Elmer Rodriguez, Adam Kloffenstein, Carlos Legrand went into the rotation, then to the bullpen on the injured list. Alexander Corniel took that spot. It's been a very consistent rotation, but no presence more consistent than Brendan Beck.
Well, he does everything you want with a pitcher. He gets ahead. Look at the stats. They're just telling you that he does everything pretty well. Maybe a little bit too many walks, 2.8. That's a little trifle too much. But the walks, hits per inning pitch, because he's only given up 68 hits, has been outstanding. Goes with the fastball. 50 of his strikeouts have come, though, with the slider, and he throws a little bit of off-speed stuff, but really 2 pitches primarily, and just throws them left, right corner, left corner. Like, he's really an artist on the mound.
Brendan Beck against the Syracuse Mets, and Clay Holmes on a Major League rehab assignment tonight. Scranton Wilkes-Barre Baseball on the Yes Network. Thank you so much for making us a part of your Thursday. Morabito stands in. Beck, a deep breath. Pause, kick, and deal. And we start with the ball low. 7:06 on this Thursday night. It's 76 degrees, clear skies. Winds are calm right now here at PNC Field. A 1-0. Fouled off the handle, ran it up and inside on Morabito. 268 average for their center fielder. 9 homers, 36 runs batted in. This is a very good running Syracuse team. There's some areas where they might have struggled this season, but they are fleet on the bases.
That was a great purpose pitch early in the count.
1-1, flared foul. Morabito, 31 steals. Ji-Hwan Bae is not in the lineup tonight. He's over 30 in stolen bases this season as well. Puts J.C. Escar really on point behind the dish in this series. Escar throws runners out in AAA at about a 50% rate.
And look at Martinez at first base. He's about as far away from first base as I've ever seen a first baseman. So obviously Morabito is a pull hitter.
The 1-2, got him swinging. Gets the strikeout chasing. 1 up, 1 down. Brendan Beck starts us out with the strikeout.
And again, he gets ahead of the count, throws off speed, borderline strike, but with 2 strikes, you got to go fishing, and he gets caught. Very perfect example of how he does his job so well.
Defensively for Scranton Wilkes-Barre, Duke Ellis, Kennedy Corona, Spencer Jones across the outfield left to right. First pitch to MJ Melendez runs inside. Tyler Hardman, Oswaldo Cabrera have the left side of the infield tonight. Marco Luciano and Ernesto Martinez Jr. to the right side, and the battery Escara and Beck. 1-0, chase to four-seamer, 93 miles per hour from Brendan. Melendez, the former Royals farmhand prospect, 267 with Syracuse this year. Chases, another fastball, 93 once again. Hitless 4 bats in this series. He has worked 5 walks between games 1 and 2 of this 6-game set at PNC Field. Back out in front. The kick and deal. That'll bounce in. Brendan is typically a very quick worker. Nobody on the bases. He'll get that ball back right into the glove and go.
Yeah, as a position player, you love having a pitcher like that. Throw strikes, and he does it well.
2-2. Called strike 3. And we'll get a challenge here, second batter of the night. Our home plate umpire is Brock Ballou. And the call is overturned.
Yeah, to the naked eye on that initial toss of the pitch, it looked like it was up a little bit. Brock Ballou, we talked about him last year. What a name. It's like some kind of a country western with all these country western hats we have tonight.
3-2. Got him swinging this time. No challenging that.
Nope.
2 down in the inning. Ballou behind home plate. He was up in the big leagues the last couple of days. Robert Ginther the third at first base. Tom Fornarola, the crew chief, at second. And Steven Rios Jr. was behind the plate yesterday down the third base line as Ballou rejoins the crew for the rest of the series.
Mauricio had a home run yesterday, kind of a towering fly ball to right center that just carried over the wall.
First pitch to Ronnie Mauricio, swing and miss. 293 average, 8 homers, 22 batted in, missed part of the season, full season last year, 2 years ago, coming back from injury. The 0-1 stays upstairs.
Love that first pitch. A 93-mile-an-hour fastball isn't much as far as speed, and he doesn't really have a lot of movement, but he just puts that about 3 inches, 4 inches above the strike zone, and it's so appealing to swing at for Mauricio.
Skies this 1-1 out towards deep right field. Spencer Jones along the warning track just in front of the Corona Premier Cantina will make the catch and bring a 3-batter inning to a close for Brendan Beck. No runs, hits, a couple of strikeouts, and we go to the bottom of the first scoreless. Rail Riders and Mets on the Yes Network. Bottom half of the first inning, Scranton Wilkes-Barre coming to the plate. J.C. Escar will lead it off, has been tremendous for Shelly Duncan since joining the roster a couple of weeks ago. Spencer Jones was up in the big leagues yesterday as the 27th man. Marco Luciano has been a real bright spot the last couple of weeks. Yanquiel Fernandez leads the team in homers and runs batted in. Oswaldo Cabrera's a multi-hit game waiting to happen. Tyler Hartman, about a week and a half off the Player of the Week honors just before the big league break. Ernesto Martinez Jr., Duke Ellis, and Kennedy Corona rounding out the 9. First pitch from Clay Holmes. Bounced by JC. Back to the mound, fielded by the pitcher. 1 throw, 1 out. Ground out retires Scar and brings Spencer Jones to the plate. Clay Holmes on this rehab assignment. It was May 15th. 111-1 off the bat from Spencer Jones.
Yeah, the last guy that he faced was Spencer Jones. And here he is again against Spencer Jones. And he gets the comebacker on the first pitch of the game, although it was a very easy play to make for Clay.
First pitch to Jones, taken outside. Spencer didn't know that the injury happened the way it did. When it was all said and done, he talked afterwards. He knew Holmes left, obviously. Slow the game down, take the pitcher out injured. Clay did run to first base to try to help field, down and inside. But Spencer said, he didn't know necessarily the severity of the injury. These two work out together during the offseason in Nashville. So there's a rapport between the former Yankee and the Yankees' top-tier prospect. That'll miss low. 3-0 the count. Just a tough injury. I don't think as you saw it play out, you could see, he didn't immediately go down to the ground. It wasn't one of those. Take 111 off the leg, though.
Yeah, you knew it hurt, but you didn't know if it was a break. I mean, I remember years ago when Bob Gibson was pitching, Roberto Clemente hit one off his leg, and it broke his leg, and Gibson was like, I'm finishing the inning. And then he went on the disabled list for like 3 months.
A 3-1. Enter black for called strike. So a tough scenario for Clay Holmes prior to that injury. 9 starts for the Mets, 52 and 2/3 innings. It was 4-4, but a 2.39 ERA. 3-2, swing and miss. Holmes gets the strikeout, 2 down in the inning. We'll set that defense for Syracuse behind Holmes on the big league rehab assignment. MJ Melendez, Nick Morabito, and Ryan Clifford across the outfield left to right. Eric Wagman and Zach Short on the left side of the infield. Christian Arroyo and Christopher Morel on the right. And behind the plate, it's Hayden Sanger. Again, Holmes slated to go 3 innings. First pitch called strike on Marco Luciano. We'll see where the pitch count is. Retiring J.C. Escara on 1 pitch might help the case as well.
Yeah, you don't want him to go through duress. You don't want to be maybe in the 3rd inning get to that borderline pitch. They'll err on the side of caution, and he has looked very effective in the first 2 batters. That last pitch just plummeting out of the strike zone. Spencer trying to protect, but went down, and that was just a nasty pitch by Clay Holmes, which, of course, we've seen over the years with the Yankees. That is his put-away pitch.
Ball and a strike on Marco Luciano. Holmes steals the sinker. The count 1-2. Luciano hitting .290. Joined the roster for Scranton Wilkes-Barre in early May. Strong start to his Yankees-affiliated career with Somerset before the promotion. We've seen the hits starting to pick up as of late. Some bounce low and away. The power. We've also seen a couple of multi-homer games from Luciano, who is still very young and not that far removed from being a top 30 prospect in the Giants organization.
Right, and the Orioles released him, but I mean, he does everything really solidly well. He's a good hitter. He plays a solid second base. That's primarily where he's been, but a really good hitter.
2-2, check the swing. Went through on the sweeper. Right-hander Brendan Beck was the International League Pitcher of the Month for June, went 3-0, including 7 no-hit innings against these Syracuse Mets on June 5th. He and Carson Coleman combining to no-hit Syracuse that night. First time Beck has been part of a no-hitter in his career. He is the 8th player in Scranton Wilkes-Barre's franchise history to garner a Player or Pitcher of the Month honor. Gets us started here against Christopher Morel with a called strike. Brandon Duckworth in 2001. Jose Perella, June 2014. Aaron Judge, June 2016. Jake Cave, July of 2017. Mike King, August 2018. Will Warren, September 2023. Spencer Jones, July of last year. And now Brendan Beck joining that historic group. Jumps out in front now, 0-2 on Morel. Talk about just the consistency that he brings to every single game he's appeared in for Scranton Wilkes-Barre. A 1-2. Fouled it off.
Both pitchers very effective in the first, hitting a couple of strikeouts for Beck and Holmes. Holmes, of course, with that filthy sweeper slider sinker of his, and Beck gets it done in different ways. He kind of, like I said, not a thrower, but a pitcher, and just kind of paints his masterpiece on the mound.
1-2. That'll drop low on a splitter. Season high is 9 strikeouts for Scranton Wilkes-Barre. He's done that 3 different times, including opening day, a 5-0 shutout win at Buffalo back on March 27th. 2-2. Just off the mark. Thought JC might want to question that call. After getting out in front of Morel. Payoff pitch upcoming. Fly ball. Left side of center field. Kennedy Corona is there. One away for Ryan Clifford, the number 2 prospect in the New York Mets organization.
Sometimes it's a 3-2 pitch. You're ahead, or even with the count if you're going full. You're not trying to strike the guy out. You're just trying to get him to hit contact softly, and that one was lofted in the air, but really a can of corn out, and a good job to get the first out with 2 strikes on the board there to get the first batter of the inning. And last night I heard you and Emily on the radio talking about your mascots. The Stanford grad has a pretty cool looking mascot.
Indeed they do. Fly ball, center field. Corona tracking it towards the right side of center. He'll call off Spencer Jones. And Kennedy's there to make the catch. Now 2 down in the inning. Ryan Clifford hitless now, 8 at-bats in the series with a walk to his credit. And short work once again. Eric Wagaman coming to the plate. Former Yankee farmhand, very well traveled these last couple of years. Never reached Scranton Wilkes-Barre while he was in the Yankees system. Now 28-year-old corner infielder. Beck will find it for a first pitch strike. Wagaman has been in the majors parts of 3 seasons, 179 games. Time with the Angels, the Marlins, and Mets.
8th inning last night, 2-run single going the other way, let the ball travel into the plate, kept his hands inside the ball, and just found open space. Good guy to have in the middle of the lineup for Syracuse.
Beck rocks the 0-2. Looped past Tyler Hardman and out to left field for a base hit. First knock of the night for the Mets. That'll send Christian Arroyo to the plate How about this for Wagaman? 179 games in the big leagues. He's played 59 AAA games, including last night, now 60, including this evening. Not necessarily a number you tend to see.
No.
146 games in AA, and the bulk of that was with Somerset for parts of 2 seasons. Here's the veteran Christian Arroyo. Crack bat punch to first base. Ernesto Martinez Jr. is there, and that'll end an easy 4-batter second inning. No runs, a knock. Leave one on the right side of the infield, still scoreless. Brendan Beck rolling so far. Rail Riders up against Clay Holmes in the second when we get back on the Yes Network. Bottom half of the second inning, Yanquiel Fernandez leads it off. 2 for 10 in the series, couple of doubles, 3 runs batted in. Has been really the power hitter in this lineup when Spencer Jones was in the big leagues the month of May and in June. Fernandez surpassed him for the team lead in homers and runs batted in, hitting .256, 18 out of the yard, and 57 batted in. Line drive towards right center field. Giving chase is Ryan Clifford. That'll find it all the way to the wall, get past Clifford, and Fernandez will jog into second base with the double. First hit of the night for Scranton Wilkes-Barre. It was the 2 base hits early on yesterday that set the tone. They don't come out with the win 5-4, but it was a Fernandez first inning double, a Cabrera first inning double, and Scranton Wilkes-Barre able to take a 2-0 lead yesterday, trying to get on the board first again.
Didn't waste any time. That first pitch was over the plate, and he served it out into right center field. And as you said, last game last night, Lombard gets on with a single running it into a double. And then with 2 outs, back-to-back doubles by Fernandez and Cabrera trying to replicate that again tonight.
First pitch to Oswaldo. You mentioned George Lombard Jr. out of the lineup tonight. He's only been back on the active roster since Friday. He played Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and gets the breather here. Cabrera swing and foul. And even on Friday, didn't play a full 9 innings. We see that a lot with Shelley Duncan, guy coming back from an injury, even though he was rehabbing down in the FCL. You play him 5 innings or 7 innings and build back up as you would a major league rehabber on a stint down here. You do the same for your minor league guys as well, just at your level. Cabrera squares, pulls it back.
Well, it's unusual to have like sprained fingers on your glove hand. You try to receive a throw and it kind of caught him a little bit, and you kind of want to polish that crown jewel. You don't want to get tarnished, and you don't want him to be dinged up. But boy, when you see him play, folks, he does everything well. He doesn't do anything outstanding, but he does everything well. He's a heady base runner, smooth fielder. Not only does he take pitches and gets on what a leadoff hitter should do. You mentioned this last night when I was going home. He really drives the ball and pulls the ball if he gets the pitch, kind of like Fernandez did there. So he's not just a slap hitter. He understands the opportunity and has an awareness in all facets of the game.
Holmes deals the breaking ball low. Move the count full 3-2 on Oswaldo Cabrera. Cabrera got a brief return to the big leagues. All of 9 at-bats over 3 games. But he has been a force in May, June, and July. Ground ball turned foul. Check the bat, make sure it's still in one piece. His efforts in June really what predicated that recall while the Yankees were taking on the Tigers. In this lineup has been so good. It took him a while to get started. The month of April was not necessarily kind because he hadn't played in practically a year. Cabrera hit 173 in April. Bumped it to 275 in May. Ground ball, again foul. And in June, prior to that call-up on the 24th, hit 397 in 18 games played. Came back down, that series against Buffalo. He's hitting 378 in 10 games this month. He has just been 2 hits waiting to happen every night.
And no matter if he's batting 170 or 378, he's always smiling.
3-2 payoff. Gets a piece of Hayden Sanger, fouls it back. Go again full 3-2. He's 78 games into his return in AAA, plus the time in the big leagues. Again, limited in the grand scheme of what his season could be and should be, will be. Check the runner at second. 3-2, delivered low. Cabrera will take the walk.
Quality at bat there. Followed off a couple pitches, trying to drive the ball down the first base line. Both times went a little bit foul, but even if he gets out, you get the runner to third with one out. So he had a thought in mind. Then he worked off that foul ball in the prior pitch. That was a really good pitcher's pitch. And here, really good eye, just slightly below the strike zone. Takes it. That's an appealing pitch to swing at and sets up the Rail Riders now first and second. No one out in the second.
Tyler Hardman, the last week before the All-Star break, was the International League's Player of the Week. Breaking ball, spins out of the zone. He hit .500. He was 12 for 24, 4 homers during the Buffalo series, drove in 9. A couple of weeks back, Scranton Wilkes-Barre faced Max Scherzer on a Major League rehab assignment. Hardman hit a 3-run homer off the future Hall of Famer. Holmes rallies back with a sinker for a strike. We talked to Tyler the next day, and he said that's a win-win. On one hand, if he beats me, he's supposed to. He's Max Scherzer. On the other hand, if I beat him, I just homered off a Hall of Famer. 1-1.
Kind of like the way Wagman is for Syracuse, having this guy in a below the cleanup spot, really in a position to drive in runs. When we talked about the batting over 300 as a team and being 14-7 in the second half, the bats have come alive. And unlike a lot of teams in baseball, and I'm not picking on just the way baseball is, it's up and down the lineup. It's just not one or two guys.
2-1. Line drive towards right field. Got some carry chasing. Ryan Clifford. And it is just foul. Just to the right of the foul pole. Hardman gives a look to Raul Dominguez. Everybody gives a look back at Robert Ginther the third. And Hardman will take his way back to the plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes the count.
Maybe a yard to the right. Nice hop there. Didn't think he would get a ball, especially with the dog on his right hand there, but he takes it. He drove that a long way. And again, go the other way. Go down to right field, try to move the runners. And if you get a 3-run home run like he did against Max Scherzer, he could have added that one to the list.
2-2 count. Fernandez at second, Cabrera at first. Drills this the opposite way towards left. Chasing back, MJ Melendez will make the catch. Fernandez will tag. Yankiel will get to third. Cabrera just retreats back to first. One down in the inning, but productive to get Yankiel Fernandez over to third base.
Pole-to-pole power there. Went down the right field line. Then you see the tag up. Fernandez coming. Nice catch in left, but he was backpedaling as he caught it. Cabrera unsure whether Fernandez was going to go, so he took the patient approach and kind of went back to first. Opportunity to go to second there if you were sure that Fernandez was going to go, because the left fielder really couldn't make a strong throw, but a chance to get the run in. But, of course, Holmes, a DP pitcher.
Ernesto Martinez Jr., Scranton Wilkes-Barre's first baseman. 238 average this season, a career best 16 home runs. He hit 8 for Nashville in 80 games last year. Lashed out towards left field. Again, tracking back Melendez. He'll make the catch. Yankiel Fernandez tags. Scranton Wilkes-Barre will take the 1-0 lead on a sac fly. 49th driven in for Ernesto Martinez Jr. this year.
Rail Riders doing little ball. Holmes trying to get the double play, but a very good job of elevating the pitch by Martinez. An easy sac fly, and of course Cabrera going down to second in case there was a misplay, but no reason for him to tag up there. But Rail Riders get a run on the board, and with Clay Holmes pitching, you'll take that. With Brendan Beck pitching, you'll really take that.
Here's left fielder Duke Ellis. Run that down and inside. Tuesday night, Scranton Wilkes-Barre coming out with the win in the opener. It was tight mid-portion of the game, but ultimately the Rail Riders would eventually put it away and go on for a big win, 13-5 the final in the opener. Ellis fouls this off. Shelley Duncan afterwards talked about that game, even though you get 13 runs, your double-figure hits, that was a game where the Rail Riders played maybe their best defensive game of the season and did a lot of the little things. The intangibles played out in their favor in that game. Moving runners over, a couple of sacrifice flies, things that don't necessarily always translate in the rest of the season. It was a microcosm. It was that quintessential Sally Duncan win where everybody contributes, but it was because they did all the little things well.
And I thought they really took advantage of Syracuse mistakes, the extra outs, the 6 errors, and some of them were throwing errors or pickoff, so it wasn't necessarily getting on base, but it was when you're on base, you're making things happen. Put a lot of pressure on Syracuse that game.
Ellis with the grounder to first. It's picked by Morrell. He'll take it to the bag and bring the bottom of the second inning to a close. But Scranton Wilkes-Barre gets a run across on an Ernesto Martinez Jr. sac fly. 1-0 Rail Riders lead as we move to the third. Scranton Wilkes-Barre baseball tonight on the Yes Network. One of our great partners here at PNC Field, one of the great universities in our area. Brendan Beck and the Rail Riders carrying the 1-0 advantage as we play on to the top half of the third. Hayden Sanger, Zach Short, and Nick Morabito do up this half inning against the right-hander.
Scranton and Wilkes-Barre about 12 miles apart, separated by Interstate 81, Scranton a little bit north. Therefore, they are the intertwined like Minneapolis-St. Paul. We are the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders.
Ball up and inside. Our hockey team in the AHL, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. Their arena is down in Luzerne County. Great friends of ours. Had a tremendous playoff run in the AHL this year.
The Calder Cup playoffs. I thought they were going to win it all. They finally got beat in the semifinals.
Called strike on Hayden Sanger. Hitless in yesterday's game. Was outstanding behind the plate. Threw out 3 out of 4 base runners. Swing and miss, and in a one-run game, how crucial was Hayden Sanger's effort behind the dish in tracking down runners on the paths?
Earned his star. Didn't look good at that swing there, but again, as a catcher, it's like years ago I asked Kyle Higashioka what's his favorite thing in baseball, and he said win.
Got him chasing. Slider off the plate. Third strikeout for Beck. Gets the leadoff batter here, and Zach Short coming to the plate. To see this good breaking ball, deal it low and outside, and the right-handed hitter can't hold off.
You have a name like Zach Short, you know where you got to play, right?
Third base. That's where he played yesterday.
Yeah, I know, but he's at short tonight.
31-year-old veteran. Topples the first pitch. Shallow left field, Cabrera backing out. Make the catch. Quick work made. And it's back to the top of the order for Nick Morabito. This is really Brendan Beck. This is what we have seen from him over the course of the season. He's not going to give up a ton of hits. More often than not, the strikeouts may range like in that 5 to 7. He's topped out at 9 3 different times this year, but this is just vintage what he does.
32 pitches, and has 2 easy outs here in the third inning. I mean, this is what you love to see. A gorgeous night for baseball. It's just beautiful here at the ballpark. And the players are on the balls of their feet because this pitcher is pitching with authority and like that. Everything 0-2, 1-0-1, 0-2. And he's getting ahead. And then here, he might nibble with the pitch, but he's not going to be sitting there going 3-2 and trying. He's going to go after this man.
Morabito 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Beck kicks an 0-2. Check swing. Grounder on the infield. Cabrera gloves, throws on to first in time. Another 3-batter inning for Brendan Beck. A Mets fan and a Yankees fan, and everything in between joining here at PNC Field. You got some Mets fans in this area, for sure. Yankees fans, Phillies fans, all across NEPA.
Well, Binghamton, New York is about halfway between Scranton and Syracuse. Syracuse maybe 2 hours away. Binghamton about halfway. And again, George Thomas Seaver, the greatest Met of all time. Sure, 41 is welcome in any park. And there's Francisco Lindor fan. So you have the old school Mets of the 60s and 70s up to today. And, of course, then you have a guy in the bump who's trying to get back to the majors and will be. The question is, will he be with the New York Mets when he gets called up? Because the trade deadline is not this Monday, but next Monday. I think it's like 4 o'clock is the deadline, but August 3rd. And the Mets are in sell mode right now, obviously. Yankees probably will try to acquire maybe an infielder, and a catcher is certainly one thing they might be looking at.
Kennedy Corona's at the plate. Now 35 pitches into the effort on this rehab assignment for Clay Holmes. 3 batters in the first with a couple of strikeouts. Faced 5 batters in the second inning. Corona watches a strike, move the count to now 2-1. The leadoff double. Scranton Wilkes-Barre able to get a run across on a sac fly. And Syracuse efforting an arm out in their bullpen. Tobias Myers was initially slated to start this game. Bumped back for Holmes. Count now 3-1. We talk about it with rehabs so often, whether it was Garrett Cole back in May or Max Fried last week. Made his debut for the Yankees yesterday. It's in part getting out there and getting your workload in. 40 pitches, 50 pitches, whatever that number is. The up and down between innings. And most importantly, how you feel the next day. Take this for a called strike in the count, full 3-2. And for Holmes, who has gone through Tommy John surgery back in his Pirates days, was drafted by Pittsburgh, came up through their system as a starter before the trade over to the Yankees. It's not an arm injury. So you're coming back from a completely different spot with the fibula fracture, and how does that leg feel? How do you feel recovering the next day, moving? It's up and inside on Kennedy Corona. Finish off the first time through the order, back to the top for J.C. Escarra.
Which is why, despite not pitching since May 15th, I bet you he's in pretty good shape right now to throw. The buildup has to be there. Much different injury than, say, Aaron Judge with a broken rib, where you cannot swing a bat. So everything with Aaron has to be slow, even to the point where maybe not come back till after Labor Day, because you cannot push that injury. I mean, you can't even swing like a wiffle ball bat when you have a broken rib. But Clay Holmes, with the broken leg, nothing wrong with the arm. That has always been pretty solid the last 5 years for him.
Corona on at first. Escarra line drive towards right center field. Corona's got the speed to take third base pretty easily. Quick jump off the bat. Kennedy's there. Base hit for J.C. Escarra sends Spencer Jones to the plate for a second time against a friend from Nashville. Corona on Tuesday night, a Little League home run, 2 errors, 1 on a throw to first, and then a throw from down the right field foul side to third base, and Kennedy all the way around to score. Part of Scranton Wilkes-Barre's 13-5 win. Jones is 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Runners on the corners. Nobody out. Deals a first pitch cutter for a strike. In the second inning, it was the leadoff double and a walk. Productive out to get Fernandez to third base, then the sac fly for the 1-0 advantage. 0-1. Spencer waits and watches the changeup wide.
Probably the last inning for Holmes, if in fact he can get out of the inning with no one out right now. Spencer Jones waiting to get a pitch and get ahead of the count and get a pitch where he can drive the ball.
Deals that down and in on the changeup. 89 from Clay Holmes. Mentioned drafted by the Pirates. He was traded to the Yankees in 2021. Pittsburgh got Diego Castilla and Hoy Park in return.
Couple of infielders.
Two-one. Big swing and foul into the ground. December of 2024, after the 2-time All-Star run out of the bullpen with New York, he signs a 3-year, $38 million deal with the Mets, an opt-out after the 2026 season, and it was almost immediate he was going to be converted back into a starting pitcher role. 2-2. Jones will watch it, blown away.
It's a credit to Clay Holmes that he became a two-time All-Star with the Yankees, and again getting like 30 saves, and then go back and become a starter. You see starters become relievers, but rarely do you, once you see them become relievers, do they go back to being starters. And he's one of the few that have done it and have been effective till the broken leg.
Jones takes it the opposite way. Down for a base hit. RBI single for Spencer Jones. 52nd run batted in for Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Ball gets away from third base. No further advance. Corona scores. Escara to second. And Spencer Jones on to first with the RBI knock.
Well, it wasn't 400 feet, but boy, there was a huge gap between second and third. The Mets trying to play for the double play. Jones saw that when he got the pitch that he didn't really do too much with it, but he did enough. And now here's the conference on the mound, and we might be saying sayonara to Clay.
John Nagowski, their acting manager, will go out and talk to Clay Holmes. They had Dedniel Nunez on a rehab assignment earlier in the series, and Nunez was able to stay in after a conversation on the mound. So the skipper isn't going to make the move here. He's going to let Holmes continue on. Talk about Clay converting from a starter to the bullpen and then back. If he were older, maybe there's no conversion back. But he was still, at that point in time, 32 years old that first year with the Mets. He was 12-8, a 3.53 ERA, made 33 appearances, 31 starts. So he made a good transition back, and at an age where it was easier to do so. If he was 38, maybe a different argument. And was outstanding for the Mets in 9 starts this year. First pitch, called strike on Marco Luciano. Again, a 2.39 ERA over 52 2/3 innings prior to that injury. Giving up just 14 runs in 52-plus frames. Escara at second, Jones at first. 2-0 Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Ball bounces in and blocked by Sanger.
You mentioned Fried pitching yesterday for the Yankees. He was, we thought, going to pitch here, and then the Yankees called him up after just one rehab start with Scranton Wilkes-Barre, but allowed 1 walk, 1 strikeout, or 1 hit, and 7 strikeouts, and everything all hinges on how does he feel today. If he feels good, the Yankees are going to feel real good about themselves, because everybody's looking at like that American League, and it's getting away from the Yankees. They're only 2.5 games away from the best record in the American League. It is the Blue Jays that have it, but the Pirates have a 19 more run differential than the Blue Jays have, and no one's talking about the Pirates as like a contender for the National League, but that American League is wide open. I know Boston had their 15-game winning streak just snapped.
Luciano, high drive towards left field. Melendez measures it. Escara's going to fake the tag and then stop. He'll force the throw to third, but leave it there. 1 down in the inning, and now we get John Nagowski out for a second, and that'll be the end of the line for Clay Holmes.
Yeah, I think they just wanted to have a little discussion there with Clay. He knew he was at the end, and they had a pitch count number, say around 50. So we got to the magic number, and he was able to get that extra out, so they'll like that. But my point being with the Yankees, with getting Fried back, and the Yankees are only 2.5 games back, and okay, yeah, not everybody in the lineup is hitting, and there's too many guys around 220 in the lineup and stuff. But boy, any staff in baseball would take the Yankees starting pitching with it, that they could roll out come, say, October. So if you get Cole, and he's looking really good again, and then you get Fried, and Rendon is right around the corner, and Schlittler is an all-star pitcher, and then you have Warren. And then people are talking about, well, their bullpen has been pretty good, but do you go get a Mason Miller? Well, I don't know. There's a lot of guys in their starting rotation that would look really good in the bullpen. Weathers and Warren, and maybe even Clark Schmidt if he can make it. So I think the Yankees are fine with pitching. I think they'll have to upgrade a catcher with maybe a right-handed bat in there. And I don't think they're going to do all that much at the trade deadline, which, again, is only 11 days away.
It is, fortunately, as you mentioned, on a Monday. I lament this quite often. For a minor league baseball schedule, we play Tuesday through Sunday. And I remember the deadline last year, that bevy of moves with Everson Pereira going, Rafael Flores over to the Pirates, the deals that they made last year. And it impacts each level of the minors in a different way. Well, with that deadline, it's 6 o'clock. Before a 6:35 game last year, we got rained out on the deadline day. Fortunately, because I think there were 3 players in the original starting lineup that were dealt, and that's the nature of what minor league baseball is. So for it to be on a Monday when all of the minor league teams are off, that should be like a national holiday across baseball. To do that and allow these teams to get players to where they need to be, not shuffle lineups 30 minutes or 5 minutes before first pitch. Like, that's a big win to have it on an off day Monday. Scranton Wilkes-Barre will be flying back from Iowa, their first trip to Iowa since 1990. So maybe some things happen while we're in the air, and we learn something when we get to the ground. But I love the idea.
Well, I remember in the mid-'90s, Stump Merrill was the Columbus manager, and I said the Yankees just acquired David Cone for 3 minor leaguers. And he's looking at me, and he goes, "No one on my team." I said, "No one from Columbus?" And he goes, "No." He goes, 3 minor leaguers? I said, "Yeah." And it was like Marty Jansen and a couple other guys. And it was a great deal, of course, from New York to get Cone. But it was a different era because for social media, the manager of the AAA team was unaware, which tells you that the Yankees didn't have to give up, maybe low-level prospects, maybe not low prospects, but low level as far as Class A ball. But this team, the Rail Riders, could look a little different in a week and a half.
By the time we get back for that Rochester series starting on August 4th. 1-1. Hernandez, swing and miss. My first season with Scranton Wilkes-Barre was 2018. And the week and a half before the deadline, 7 players off of what was then, a 25-man roster dealt away. It was devastating at that moment in time for me because I had not experienced it to that volume. And that team still went on to make the playoffs in the International League Championship Series. Swing and miss. Fernandez down chasing. Tobias Myers is the new arm. Saw the numbers there on the screen for the right-hander. Myers, 27-year-old from Winter Haven, Florida. Played in the Brewers system last year. Picked up in a trade from Milwaukee last season. This season, 1-0, a 3.27 ERA here in AAA. Brings Oswaldo Cabrera to the plate. Cabrera walked and was left on 1 inning ago. Final line on Clay Holmes, not quite there. 3 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. 51 pitches, 28 strikes. Handled the top 3 of the order in the first inning. Breaking ball too far inside. But a 5-batter second. He's in there to face 4 batters here in this third inning that featured a walk and back-to-back singles to help Scranton Wilkes-Barre extend that lead. 2-0, locked, loaded. Check that. That'll take it 2-1. Cabrera saw his 10-game hitting streak broken up right before the All-Star break. 2-1, chased back foul.
You would think Holmes is going to be fine because unlike Max Fried with the bruised elbow and on his throwing elbow, his left elbow, where Holmes is just dealing with and it's not just, but it's a broken leg and the arm and everything else looked good. Like he didn't throw to hard contact. He pitched pretty well. And then now the Mets will decide if they'll give him another start and then call him up or make phone calls.
Cabrera will take time. 2-2 count with 2 down in the inning. J.C. Escar still at second. Spencer Jones on at first base. Neither runner being held on. Zach Short kind of feigns in behind and backs away. 2-2. Swing and miss. Back-to-back strikeouts for Myers to close out the third inning. 1 run across on a couple of hits, 2 left on the bases. Rail Riders double that lead. It's 2-0 Scranton Wilkes-Barre as we head to the 4th. This is Rail Riders Baseball on the Yes Network. We showed you Kings College from Wilkes-Barre earlier. These are shots from the square down in Luzerne County in downtown Wilkes-Barre. 2 runs on 3 hits. No errors for Scranton Wilkes-Barre after the first 3 frames. Nothing on 1 hit. And no errors for Syracuse as we move to the top half of the fourth inning. Brendan Beck has once again been sharp. 35 pitches through 3 innings. In the process, has lowered his ERA sub-3 at 2.99. He is the International League's ERA leader as we play on here, tail end of July. MJ Melendez, Ronnie Mauricio, Christopher Morel due up this half inning. Reach out. Fly ball down the right field side. Spencer Jones will give it a chase. It's going to bank off the wall. We'll go again, 0-1 on Melendez. So Holmes' line does close with just those 2 runs on 3 hits. You saw his full arsenal. And again, whatever New York decides they want to do with him. Melendez fly ball center field. Kennedy Corona tracking under it. Quick first step will jog underneath. And Melendez retired on a couple of pitches. One away, Ronnie Mauricio coming up. His best success was that first inning, Scranton Wilkes-Barre, as we got deeper into the order. Some base hits. You mentioned not a lot of hard contact. Maybe 2 well-struck balls, but the Rail Riders doing their part to take the 2-0 lead. Pretty impressive when he was locked in that first inning.
Yeah, I think Met fans are going to be encouraged by what he did. And, again, that leadoff double with the first pitch of the second inning got him into a little bit of a trouble. But I think overall they'll be fine. And the other one, obviously, we talked about it in the pregame. It's a pitcher's duel. One pitcher was going to go probably 6-7 innings, and that's Beck, and the other one was going to be a shorter stint. But I think both sides are very happy with what they're seeing from the pitching part of the equation.
Ronnie Mauricio, 1 ball, 1 strike, the count. Beck got him to fly it out towards right field to close down the first inning. This is popped up. Pitcher is there, and they can't make the play. A fair ball. Beck was looking at J.C. Escarra. Ernesto Martinez Jr. coming in, and the communication not there to call off Beck. Pitchers rarely, if ever, and I mean never, get to make that play.
Now, J.C. Escarra as the catcher isn't going to try to make that catch. That's too difficult for him. You really don't want the pitcher to get it either. But J.C. Escarra should have been the communicator there. He should have been saying first, and then Brendan would have backed away. But it seemed like it was just I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything, and I think you could have heard it. So I think that was not so much where Escarra should have been grabbing the ball. He should have been clearing it as the first baseman's ball. Beck was looking. He's like, no one's taking it. All right, I'll take it. But I think that's where the catcher, on a bunt, the catcher will tell the pitcher to go to second, go to first. Here we should have been telling the first baseman and the pitcher, we're okay. First base has this one.
They'll tag Beck with the fielding error off of his glove. Mauricio on at first base. Long pause. Deals it out of the zone. Now, again, pitchers never, never make that play. And I think Brendan was looking for JC to tell him to get out of the way.
Yes, we wanted to hear that, and he didn't. And the other thing was it going to be fair or foul? I thought it was really close to being a foul ball, but obviously Beck must have barely been in the fair line. There was no challenge or anything. But it's, in the pregame, I was sitting here and I'm kind of laughing. The Mets were going through pitching fielding drills, and they were trying to hit these choppers to the pitcher and then trying to turn a double play, and they are having all kind of problems. And the guy that was hitting the fungos was not hitting them hard, but he was trying to give them just these little short hops. Pitchers sometimes are not good fielders, and I'm not saying that was a mistake on Beck because I think it was more of a communication thing. But, those plays appear easy. You don't practice those plays. You might in spring training, but you don't practice them during the season. And I just think like a center on defense telling his 4 other guys, he's the communicator. That's where JC should have been talking to both players there, so that wouldn't have happened.
Runner goes the 1-2, a breaking ball low. Escarra's sidearm down to first. It's in and out of the glove of Luciano. It's a steal from Mauricio, his 8th. I'm going to tell you, and this number's low, 99.9% of the time, a pitcher is nowhere near that play. He bails out, and you trust that the first baseman or catcher are going to be there. The wild card in this is Martinez Jr., who had the angle coming in. Between JC and Ernesto, Somebody needed to be the vocal one to say, I've got it, and get out of the way. And from that angle, it's probably got to be Ernesto.
Well, he did call for it at the very end, but at that point he was towering over Beck, who was in the way, and it was a little late. But again, it was a high enough that it could have been caught by first, and I think that should have been the play. But there was just a little indecision, and and Beck was like peeking, like, really? I don't want to get this one.
Mauricio at second, 3-2. Got him looking, called strike three. Morel down watching. Fourth strikeout for Brendan Beck, and can make it all moot. Get himself and his team out of the inning. A four-seamer, 94 miles per hour, right at the bottom of the zone. The top of the ball grazes the bottom line of the strike zone.
Yeah, Morel didn't even challenge it, too. He knew he took a pitch for a strike, and that might have been the best pitch so far of the night for Brendan Beck. That was perfectly put on the corner.
Ball upstairs. Ryan Clifford at the plate, 0 for 8 in the series with 1 walk.
And that average is a lot lower than it was last time he came through here.
Went to the Futures game as the representative for the New York Mets. Had a walk. Called strike, back pick with Cabrera in behind Ronnie Mauricio. Oswaldo can't get the tag on Mauricio, so instead he slaps it on the leg of Tom Fornarola, the crew chief.
Who calls safe. Yeah, with 2 outs, you're not necessarily trying to pick him off. You just kind of keep him on his toes where if there's a base hit, you have a chance to gun him out at the plate. Obviously, the guy you're concerned about is Clifford.
Loops the curveball. That'll miss the mark at 78. Ryan Clifford hitless in his last 5 games. Prior to this series, Syracuse was at home over the weekend. Dropped 2 out of 3 to the Buffalo Bisons. Jackknifed airborne left center field. Duke Ellis, Kennedy Corona converge. Duke is there to make the catch and bring the inning to a close. The error does not come back to haunt Scranton Wilkes-Barre here in the top half of the 4th inning. No runs, no hits in error. Leave 1 in scoring position in a 2-0 game. Joining you from PNC Field, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and Syracuse as we head to the bottom half of the 4th inning. I'm Adam Marco alongside Jim Coles. Thank you so much for being a part of the fun here tonight. Good pitching performance by Brendan Beck. We saw Clay Holmes on the rehab assignment, a 2-0 Scranton Wilkes-Barre lead. Good start to this game for Shelley Duncan's crew.
Yeah, Beck has allowed just 1 hit, and then the error that he had, really of the 3 people involved in the play, he deserved nothing for it, but that one is laced to center.
1 hop. Skips off the top of the wall. Tyler Hardman's first hit since the All-Star break. A double to start the inning, and this is where the offense clicked against Holmes in the 2nd inning. That leadoff 2-base hit on the very first pitch of the inning. That is how the Rail Riders capitalized then, and this was well struck straightaway center.
Well, when you get a leadoff double and you're in scoring position with no one out, you can get the run in without a hit. If you advance the runner with a ground ball and then a fly ball, a sac fly to get the ball in, it takes the pressure off the hitter. It allows him to try to just do a little bit less than needed, and you can kind of get rewarded with maybe you're trying to get a ground ball or a line drive, and then you get a base hit, or maybe you get extra bases and you can string something together. Here's a chance for the Rail Riders to tack on some more here in the 4th, up 2-0.
Ernesto Martinez Jr. at the plate had the sacrifice fly for the 1-0 lead in the 2nd. 3-quarter chase. That was his 49th run batted in for Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Myers deals. Martinez Jr. watches up and outside. I mentioned it when he was at the plate back in that 2nd inning. 8 home runs in 80 games last year for the Nashville Sounds. And the Sounds play in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark where he was seeing half of his games as it was anyway. So it's not surprising that his home run totals were lower. Swing and miss. Prior to this year, his career best was 13 in 2024 in Double-A with Biloxi. Hit 13 in 110 games. Martinez Jr. playing in his 80th game of the season tonight, sitting on a career best 16 home runs. Fly ball towards left. Playable for Melendez. No advance for Tyler Hardman.
He's got that frame. He's like 6'5", and he looks like he could drive the ball, but sometimes it just takes a while for a guy to learn how to become a power hitter. I mean, when we came up here in the late 80s and early 90s, Jim Thome was a prospect, and he wasn't hitting home runs. He had to learn Charlie Lau and Charlie Lau. The Phillies manager worked with him and really developed him to become a power hitter. And then the other one, even though he's 6'6" and was hitting home runs like at an amazing pace when he first went up, was Ryan Howard. But when he was here with the Red Barons, he wasn't. He was not hitting home runs. He was hitting the ball in the opposite field and developing his stroke. And then all of a sudden, things click for these guys. And maybe that's the case with Martinez.
Count to 1-1 on Duke Ellis. We hear it a lot on the pitching side. Minor league free agents that come in, and the pitching program really for the Yankees, how they unlock things from arms and what they're able to do. They do a lot of that for bats as well.
Charlie Manuel is the Philly skipper that really worked with Jim Thome. That's where I got Charlie Lau from. But, Thome was here, and everybody's like, yeah, he had a line drive swing. And Thome had one of those ultimate outcome at bats. He walked a lot, he struck out a lot, and he hit home runs a lot. But he didn't put the ball in play all that much. And they took advantage of that and said, let's develop a little bit of an uppercut swing. Where Ellis's type here is he's more get the ball on the ground and try to use his legs, but he strikes out in the high fastball.
Duke gives a chase up and away. Four-seamer at 95. Third strikeout through 5 hitters for Tobias Myers. And how quickly it turns from the leadoff double and nobody out to now 2 outs in the inning and that runner still standing at second. Have to wait a moment for Ryan Clifford to haul in a souvenir and fling it onto the lawn for some kids. Hardman the leadoff double. But a fly out by Martinez couldn't move the runner over. Ellis strikes out swinging. Now it's on to Kennedy Corona to try to extend the lead with the run for a 3rd consecutive inning. First pitch called strike. Corona, like Hardman, like Luciano, Lombard Jr., started his season with Somerset, added to the Scranton Wilkes-Barre roster in May.
Corona, one of those fleet outfielders like Ellis, and the Rail Riders are very solid there. Spencer Jones has played left, right, and center. There it is, strike.
Call overturned by Syracuse. They'll take the count. Now, 0-2 on Kennedy Corona. Walked and scored 1 inning ago. Pause by Myers, the pitch. Swing and miss. Back-to-back strikeouts to close out the 3rd. He'll do it again here to shut down the 4th inning. Leadoff double. Scranton Wilkes-Barre can't do anything with it. Carries that 2-0 lead into the 5th on the Yes Network. Seafield this season, post-game fireworks. We've always done Friday night fireworks. We've had the occasional Saturday show, and now it is every Friday and Saturday from Memorial Day weekend all the way through the end of the year, including tomorrow. This coming Saturday night is Hawaiian Christmas in July with post-game fireworks. Find out more, get tickets and details at swbrailriders.com. First pitch swinging, Eric Wagaman fouled off. Marco Luciano will make the catch just across the line. Wagaman thought that was out of play off the bat, had turned towards the right-handed batter's box, and Luciano there to take charge, make the catch, and Scranton Wilkes-Barre gets the first out of the inning very quickly.
Yeah, he did not know where he hit it. He thought he hit it a foul ball, but obviously that's an easier play for Luciano there, coming over and waving off the first baseman. He had the angle, and again, Beck getting one early pitch and 1 early out.
Christian Arroyo to the plate. First upstairs, Arroyo 0 for 1 with a line out, that broken bat flare towards Ernesto Martinez Jr. that shut down the 2nd inning. Jammed it up and inside on a 4-seam fastball. Just now over 50 pitches with these 3 in this inning.
Yeah, very efficient, getting ahead, had the early lead, but I don't think that would matter one way or another. Up 2-0, down 2-0. He's just going to nibble on the edges, and once he gets ahead in the count, he doesn't really, again, I think of like El Duque Hernandez when he was with the Yankees. He'd get ahead 0-2 and then it'd go 3-2 because he wasn't going to cave in. Well, Beck doesn't really throw multiple pitches. He's like, all right, I might go down 1-2, but I'm coming after you, and I'm going to throw strikes.
Swing and a foul. We'll take that now, 2-2. Yankees back in action this weekend. They wrapped their series with the Pirates with that split doubleheader yesterday, which they split. Take 2 out of 3 from the Buccos and travel to Philadelphia, the other side of the Keystone State. Swing and miss. Got him chasing on the slider. 5th strikeout for Brendan Beck. 2 outs in the inning. That'll bring Hayden Sanger to the plate. Cam Schlittler against Jesus Luzardo tomorrow is a really fun pitching matchup. You get Ryan Weathers against starter yet to be determined on Saturday. And then Will Warren and Christopher Sanchez. The Sunday nighter is, again, another premier matchup. Warren has been really good. Sanchez, an all-star. First pitch, called strike on Hayden Sanger, who's 0 for 1 with a strikeout.
I believe in our first game this season, I was saying, with all this interleague play going on and the All-Star game not really having the luster it did when you only faced them in the World Series.
The line drive towards left. Duke Ellis is there, and that'll make short work of this 5th inning. Top of the order, 2 up in the bottom half of the 5th inning. J.C. Escarra, Spencer Jones, Marco Luciano as we wait for Hayden Sanger to get back behind the dish. Former Rail Rider and Yankee Ben Rortvedt is their backup catcher. He and Sanger tend to split time, though Sanger's been up to the big leagues this year with the New York Mets.
So I was saying with interleague play being so prevalent, the Yankees, for example, will play every team in baseball this year. Despite being an old school guy, I'm okay if there's no American and National League. I'd like to see it like the Yankees and Phillies and Red Sox and whatever, Toronto and Orioles, Mets, all playing in the same division. I think that would be just awesome. I would put Pittsburgh in the Midwest somewhere with St. Louis and Chicago and Cleveland and those teams. But when you had different umpires would wear the different chest protectors. American League had the big bulky ones. The National League, American League had the DH. National League didn't have the DH. And then you'd meet in the playoffs, or maybe you just have one round and boom, through 1968, the 2 teams would play in the World Series, and that would be representing the league. Yeah, 162 games to determine who was the one to go to the World Series was very important. Anymore, I kind of like to see more regional play and more rivalries, and having the Cubs playing the White Sox and having the Dodgers and Angels and Yankees and Phillies.
There's a called strike on J.C. Escarra. Very quickly turns to challenge this call from Brock Ballou. And the Rail Riders catcher gets it overturned well up and out of the zone. First challenge of the game by Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Teams are 3 for 3 in their challenges so far. Move that low and away. And instead of 1 and 2, Escarra with that overturned call watches the next out of the zone, and it'll move now 3 and 1. JC singled in his last trip to the plate, left on the bases. It's upstairs, ball 4.
Well, yesterday, O'Hearn for the Pirates came up against the Yankees and challenged early in the first at bat, and he was wrong. And then later, he struck out in a pitch that was not a strike, and yet he didn't want to challenge because he didn't want it to go 0 for 2. I think sometimes early in the game, like there was a chance here in the first inning, it could have been a challenge. The Rail Riders, I think Beck decided, even though if it's a strike, what am I gaining here? It's going from 2-2 to 3-2. Kind of wanted to save those opportunities.
First pitch on the way to Spencer Jones, taken for a called strike. Jones 1 for 2 against Clay Holmes. RBI single in the 3rd inning. We've had the challenge system for a few years. As it gets fine-tuned, a lot of rules get fine-tuned in AAA before it goes on to the big leagues. So we had challenges, 2 different versions of it, before they enacted what we do now in the majors this season. The bigger bases, things of that nature, the runner on second in extra innings, like all of these things, they're field tested in the minors, whether it's AAA in the PCL or the International League, or even at the lower levels, and they try different things all across to see what works. Line drive down to the corner for Spencer. Should turn this into 2. JC on his way to 3rd. Spencer Jones into 2nd. Once again, Scranton Wilkes-Barre's got the first 2 batters of the inning aboard. A walk and a double, 2 in scoring position. They couldn't do anything with that leadoff double 1 inning ago. How do they respond here in the bottom of the 5th inning, trying to extend this lead?
And again, Jones, his problem, he strikes out too much. But boy, he has good speed, and here he hits the ball. He's trying to advance the runner, hold the ball, and he hits the ball in the corner. And with his speed, it's an easy double, and now a chance to break it open for the Rail Riders. Heart of the order, Luciano's been solid all year, second and third, and no one out.
It's a very well-stocked team for Shelley Duncan. Now, Kyle Carr is on the injured list. First pitch to Luciano. First strike placed on the IL this week. But Beck, Eric Raiselman out of the bullpen, who pitched yesterday. And then, of course, those top-tier talents of Lombard Jr., Elmer Rodriguez, Carlos Lagrange, who's on the injured list, and Spencer Jones has not graduated out of the prospect rankings yet for the Yankees. Second hit of the night for Spencer, a 5-game hitting streak, 7-game on-base run. 0-1. Off the table outside. One of the things here in this second half, they're testing in the International League, second base has moved slightly inward.
Didn't that change from the beginning of the season? Was that there at the beginning or a little bit into the season?
Midway through.
That's odd. And you and I talked about this. I mean, I understand why you'd have a bigger base. It gives a little more leeway, helps the fielder and runner not collide with each other. But I don't understand what brings second base in. Can you enlighten us?
I can try.
Yeah.
I don't, and we've had the conversation with staff, with players. Not sure what the result will be. You move it midway through, so you have a data comparison, X number of games, 90 games versus 50 games. Luciano towers this. We'll see who gets together and tries to make the play. It's Christopher Morel. Back onto the infield. Grass will make the grab. Luciano was right there about the same time. One down in the inning, and that'll bring Yanquiel Fernandez to the plate. From a pure visual look, can you tell that it has moved?
No.
4.5 to 9 inches, the distance between. No, you can't tell that it's been flipped and flipped again over these last couple of years. There are some people, the purists, that will say that's where it was and where it should have been the whole time. This is down and inside on Yanquiel Fernandez.
And it's still 90 feet between the bases. Nothing has changed in that respect.
Right. It moved closer to the mound. It shortens the path between the bases, but it's still somewhere around there. The goal is to encourage more stolen bases and tight plays. I think we get tight plays at second all the time. 1-0. Yanquiel, a swing and miss. Runners on second and third.
But going first to third is a tighter cut. I mean, I think that would be the big thing. Is going to second to steal a base. I can see it. It's a little easier, and you want the guy to be safe if you're being aggressive. But going to first and third, that's a tighter turn.
Breaking ball off the mark. We've only been experiencing this for a couple of weeks now, but talking with Raul Dominguez, who coaches first base early in the week for Scranton Wilkes-Barre, base running coordinator, base running coach in his time in the Yankees organization, amongst manager and everything else he does. Gil Velasquez, an infielder by trade. We've talked to both of them. And the early thought is the results might be negligible, that you may not necessarily notice the difference, but they want months of data to make that determination. 2-2. Taken upstairs. And for what it's worth, when the challenge system started, remember we had 2 different versions of it. We field tested the computer system, the robo-umps, the automated balls and strikes, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then switched to the challenge system we know now. And we only have 1 remaining. They got rid of that after a year plus of experimentation and decided this is the route we're going to go. Now how do we fine-tune it? So it was 3 challenges. Then it was 2. 3-2. Got him chasing. Back-to-back outs after the walk and the double. Oswaldo Cabrera coming to the plate as Scranton Wilkes-Barre trying to avoid squandering runners in scoring position once again. So you see these experimental rules. Something that's new this year in the Pacific Coast League are check swing challenges. Started on May 5th. John Nagowski, the manager, is making the walk to the bullpen here. That might do it for Tobias Myers. They did have an arm throwing out in their bullpen, and that appears to be the case. So in the PCL, the 10 teams on the western side of AAA baseball, you can challenge a check swing. In the International League, well, you cannot challenge. The manager, again, doesn't make the move. I bought in too early. You use the first or third base line and a 45-degree angle for the umpires down the line to try to adjudicate that check swing. So we've seen more since early May. Check swings that in April would have been a strike are now not called. Not a strike.
Well, you answered, and I asked you to illuminate me, and I think you did. I wondered why they would change that second base rule, but now you're explaining that half a season of data with it back, half a season with it slightly forward, and see if you can see a difference. So I can understand now, but I think for the players, and maybe they don't notice it. I mean, I can imagine middle infielders are aware of it when you're so used to being a certain place to get your tosses on double plays and quick base runners cutting it first to third, but to the naked eye, you can't tell.
Cabrera falls behind now, 0-2. We'll see. We'll see if it does impact the game, if they make these changes. There are different things happening at different levels. Eventually, if it's going to perhaps reach the majors, it'll graduate to AAA across the board.
Got a good look at Edgardo Alfonso in the Syracuse dugout, one of the coaches. Longtime Met third baseman. Solid all-around career.
No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 in scoring position. Swing and miss. And Myers fired up. After the walk and the double, popped down the first base line and back-to-back strikeouts to close out the threat in the bottom of the 5th inning. Scranton Wilkes-Barre strands 2 on the bases, carries the 2-0 lead into the 6th on the Yes Network. Saturday night, Hawaiian Christmas in July. A little Mele Kalikimaka here at PNC Field. First 1,500 fans get a Hawaiian shirt. We've got a jersey auction coming your way. Raising money for the Salvation Army. Always one of our favorite nights each and every season. We combine our Hawaiian night with Hawaiian Christmas in July. Can't wait to see you at the ballpark just a couple of days from now. And, of course, post-game fireworks after the final out on Saturday. Zach Short leads things off, top half of the 6th inning. 60th pitch from Brendan Beck, in for the strike. Needed just 8 pitches to get him through the top of the 5th inning.
Those Hawaiian shirts would not go with the country western hats they gave away tonight.
I don't know that for a fact, but I'll take your word for it.
No, that's a clash.
Beck's 0-2. Fly ball, center field, Kennedy Corona. Looking up into the twilight, we'll find it at the last second. Seen a little bit of this more this season, I think, than we have the last couple of years. We've got the new LED lights. There is up lighting to help fielders spot that ball, but when you get this time of day, that blue-gray steel sky, it is very tough to spot that ball.
I was going to bring that up when Morel had problems with the pop-up along the first base line. It goes up above the lights, and once it goes above the lights, when it comes back down, you're not seeing it clearly. And you might see it once it gets below the lights, but then your reaction time is not much. And Corona struggled, Morel struggled, but they both made the plays.
Morbido, high foul out of play. Polar Park in Worcester opened up in 2021 and found that they built that ballpark with kind of a Chavez Ravine Dodger light blue. Is famous for Dodger
Motif,
Stadium.
Yes.
And you couple that with that blue-gray sky, we saw more twilight balls there than I think any other place the last 5 years. It's been a little more prevalent this season. Here, swing and a foul back, take a 0-2 on Morbido, who's 0 for 2 tonight. And it takes skill, and that can wreak havoc on games. It's only going to last for about an inning. You deal with it a half inning on each side and hope that you just track it.
Yeah, daylight's easy, night is easy. Dusk, twilight, and the gloaming, not so easy.
Makings of a gorgeous sunset beyond the left field side, out beyond the Coast Pavilion. 2-2. Called strike 3. Another strikeout for Brendan Beck. Just dealing throughout the course. Surrendered one hit, a 2-out single to Eric Wagman back in the second inning. The one error, those are the only blemishes against his line so far tonight.
Yeah, no one's getting on base. Like, he's in command. Now, the only thing I will say is the last couple innings, the Rail Riders left guys on base. That was their bugaboo, I thought, last night. They didn't get in enough runs when the guys were on there. And then they had a 4-3 lead, and then Wagman got the 2-run single in the 8th inning, and that was it, and a 5-4 loss. So if they win the game, you're going to say, yeah, Beck was the story. And if they lose the game, you're going to say we frittered away more opportunities than we had when we could have had a 4 or 5-run lead.
1-0. Trying to find the zone. Scranton Wilkes-Barre on the offensive side, 240 this season with runners in scoring position. That's 19th best out of 20 teams in the International League. They have been remarkably better in the second half, closer to 275 in this second half, which started again about a month ago today. Foul out of play. Move the count 1-2 on MJ Melendez. But in those 89 win seasons, 24 and 25, 89 and 87 wins respectively for Shelley Duncan, one thing they did well was hit with runners in scoring position. A 1-2, got him swinging. 7th strikeout of the night for Brendan Beck. Back-to-back to shut down the top of a 3-batter 6th. No runs, no hits. Nobody left. 2-0 Scranton Wilkes-Barre midway through the 6th inning as Brendan Beck continues to shine on the Yes Network. Counts 11 walks for the right-hander. Tyler Hardman started the 4th inning with a double and was left on at second base. Simon quickly ahead, now 0-2. Hardman was hitless in 4 games since the big league break. Double broke up that schneid.
Rail Riders trying to get the leadoff man on for the 5th straight inning.
Deep breath by the righty. Went 3 up, 3 down in the 9th for the save last night. Down 5-4. Their best chance was really the bottom of the 8th inning with a couple of base hits with 1 out, but couldn't do anything with it. Hit into an inning-ending double play. 1-2, fouled back. Clark Schmidt for the New York Yankees this week threw a 15-pitch live bullpen session, now just 1 year removed from Tommy John surgery. It seems like every year, and it happens across every major league team, injuries really set back seasons. Swing and a foul, Hardman stays alive. You hear a lot of potential contenders or just flat-out contenders that we're going to get this guy back from injury, and that's as good as a trade. That's as good as a deal. Now, Clark Schmidt is seemingly still a ways off from getting back to a rehab appearance or competitive appearance. Hardman watches the breaking ball low. But that's a very good start, whether it is Clark Schmidt, do they think bullpen? Do they think back to the rotation? You're looking August, September. Check swing grounder to the right side. Picked on the roll by Morrell. Hardman retired. That'll send Ernesto Martinez Jr. to the plate. But Clark Schmidt was a big member of that rotation prior to his injury and Tommy John surgery. So will he come back like Garrett Cole? Will he come back in a different way? We'll see. But that is a very good start for the Yankees to get that arm back in whatever capacity he might be able to help them by the end of the year.
Yeah, I would think at first they would use him in like not high voltage situations, but just middle relief and maybe with a lead or down 4 or 5, up 4 or 5, and not put undue stress on the man. But I think if you can get anything out of him down the stretch, and even postseason, he'd be a great setup guy. Give Bednar a little break there at the end of the rotation in the back of the bullpen.
Ernesto holds off on a first check swing. Count to 1-1 on the Scranton Wilkes-Barre first baseman. 0 for 1 with a sac fly. That'll bounce in. We were talking early on this season, one of our first games on the Yes Network, back when Luis Gil was still up in the big leagues. And You were waiting to get Garrett Cole back and what he is going to add to this rotation. You know, the ability to have Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon all back healthy when that happens. Swing and foul. Down the third base side, everyone was sifted so far over, there's no chance to make a play. Count to 2-2 on Martinez Jr. Yesterday, you get Fried and Cole in the rotation together for the first time since they signed Max Fried to that 8-year deal in December of 2024. You got to wait still on Rodon. You add the all-star Cam Schlittler. Like we talked earlier, who's going to leave the rotation and how are they going to sort it out? And sometimes things just happen and it sorts itself out. But they're trending back healthy in the right direction. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but by August, by stretch time, absolutely.
Well, Cole hadn't pitched since the World Series when the Yankees lost to the Dodgers. And that's the last time he pitched till he just started making his comeback. And Fried, of course, missed what could have been a disastrous kind of thing with Tommy John. But he just had the bone bruise, and hopefully that the Yankees took care of that in time. But Schmidt is going the long route, and he has been through it before, so he understands the situation. But, boy, there's no rush with Clark Schmidt. There's a fan getting what they came for, and is it David Wells? Warren?
Austin Wells.
Austin Wells. I'm like, that's not David Wells' number. He's not wearing the Babe Ruth hat.
3-2 popped up, carrying out towards right. Not sure that Ryan Clifford knows where it is. He didn't. It bounces foul. He was still a good 30, 40 feet away from it when it dropped. A full-speed run, it would have been tight to make that catch in that corner of right field. But
yeah, but that
Twilight.
was a vision. That's a vision. I mean, you and I mentioned that, and with Morel maybe a half hour ago. Again, I think in about 10 minutes it'll be dark enough, but Clifford really was scuffling with that. It was hit towering high, so I get it.
Another foul for Ernesto. Keeps the count full, 3-2. So a lot of good things coming there without even getting to August 3rd in the trade deadline and what can happen and how the Yankees and other teams will impact their rosters. Stay a few short days from now. 3-2, chopped on the infield. Scooped up by Arroyo onto first. Simon records the putout. Grounder to first, grounder to second. Now Duke Ellis coming to the plate.
I do want to give a quick shout out to a big fan, a Yankee fan for over 65 years, and Linda in Hazlet, New Jersey. I know she's watching. That's out by Matawan and up by Red Bank in that northeast corner of the Jersey Shore. So if you're watching, Linda, we say hi from our team here in the Yes Network. Always a diehard Yankee fan, and of course with the Yankees off, getting ready for the Phillies. I think we got a lot, not just Yankee fans. There's Met fans, I'm sure, tuning in tonight too to see how Clay Holmes pitched.
Get a mound visit here by A.J. Seger, their pitching coach, out to talk to Simon. As they do have a right-hander throwing in the bullpen. That's Matt Seelinger. Another former Pirates farmhand like Clay Holmes, the outset of this game.
Well, you're a Pirate fan growing up, so you know Clay Holmes, who signed him, right? Darren Mazeroski, Dick Mazeroski's son. Now, when I was 3 years old when Mazeroski hit the home run to beat the Yankees, so I don't have a begrudging moment with that. But otherwise, I think that would have been my worst moment as a Yankee fan.
First pitch to Duke Ellis. I've been through this a couple of times. In the 80s, I was a Dodgers fan. I was born the year the Pirates won their last World Series. And as we discussed earlier, the year that the Pirate Parrot
79
was unveiled at Three Rivers Stadium. But all of my friends as a kid were Pirates fans, so I was a Dodgers fan. Oral Hershiser, Kirk Gibson, that whole era. Ellis, line drive towards right. On the button, Ryan Clifford is there to make the catch and bring a three-batter inning to a close. I worked in the Pirates system. I saw Clay Holmes coming up through their organization, so absolutely just transcended to get to watch him pitch once again about a decade and a half after I last saw him.
Was that in Williamsport?
Top half of the seventh inning coming up next week. Scranton Wilkes-Barre to Iowa for the first time since 1990. Back at home August 4th, the day after the day, to host the Rochester Red Wings here at PNC Field.
So is it heaven or is it Iowa?
We'll find out. Fly ball, Spencer Jones tracking in. I think we have surpassed the twilight moments. Jones, no trouble there. And Ronnie Mauricio quickly retired as Brendan Beck works into this seventh inning. And again, that pitch count, 71 for his efforts so far.
Yeah, he could go a complete game if he can keep it going. And you can see the outfielders talking there. I think there is a little peace of mind right now. Corona's still trying to get in position in center.
Bounding ball foul off the bat of Christopher Morel. Scranton Wilkes-Barre back in the Red Baron days of 89, 90. The International League, the American Association, and the PCL, but really the IL and American Association had the AAA Alliance, swing and a miss. So we would see Buffalo, we would see Iowa, we'd see these Midwest or Western New York teams that were in that Central League. That disappeared. Those teams disbanded to the IL or the Pacific Coast League until things were shaken up for 2021. But we haven't seen Iowa in decades, since the second year of this franchise's era. And Iowa's been a very good offensive team in the second half. They're upper half of the league in the second season, but they can hit. A 1-2. Beck gets the fan of the bat, but no chase.
Well, in 95, the All-Star game was held here. The AAA All-Star game was held here at what was called Lackawanna County Stadium. And Ron Coomer won the home run derby, and he was with the Cubs in their AAA. And he won the home run derby that year.
Foul ball back, stays 2-2. Iowa has one of the longest standing affiliations with the Chicago Cubs. The Royals with Omaha has also gone on for a couple of decades of that team. They might have had a different name. Omaha has had a couple in that span. The Iowa Cubs have always been. Breaking pitch doesn't get the strikeout.
Are they Storm Chasers?
The Omaha Storm Chasers.
Yeah.
They had a run as the Royals for a long time. We've played at Omaha. They've been here. Went to Nashville. They came here last year for the first time since the early 90s. 3-2. Line drive through the left side of the infield, a base hit. Second single of the night for Syracuse. They got the 2-out knock by Wagman in the second inning, and now a 1-out single by Christopher Morel. As Shelley Duncan and Spencer Medic chat things up in the dugout, you see Zach Messenger, the right-hander, getting loose out in the bullpen with bullpen coach Pete Larson tracking everything for the righty reliever.
That pitch had a little bit of the plate up a little bit, so keep an eye. Sometimes that's when you're getting a little tired. Isn't that you're walking, guys? You're just maybe not hitting your part of the plate that you want to pitch to. And so Beck, for the first time in a while, pitching from the stretch, 1 out here in the 7th, still up 2.
First pitch curveball missed on Ryan Clifford. 0 for 2 tonight, 0 for 9 in the series. 2-0 Scranton Wilkes-Barre holding on to that edge. Riders plated a run in the second, added a run in the third, and that has been enough for Beck to make it stand up. (2-0) upstairs. Seen Messenger a couple of times this season serve as a long reliever. Beck has done an outstanding job working this far into this appearance. Coming out of that All-Star break, you've seen some shorter appearances. Delivery low, ball 4. Now gets Ronnie Mauricio quickly, then the single by Morel and a walk of Ryan Clifford, and that will bring Shelley Duncan out to the mound, and that'll do it for the right-handed starter, Brendan Beck.
Yeah, Mauricio is their core guy. Had a home run last night. You don't want Beck to take the loss after pitching so well. He's pitched into the 7th, 6th, and the 3rd. Obviously, the 2 runners that are on are his responsibility as he takes a walk to the showers, but a fine ovation for Brendan Beck. Tremendous night of pitching here at PNC Field.
6 1/3 innings for Beck. Got him for 3 hits. I'm going to look back and see if they swapped out that error for a base hit. There's nothing else on my card. He was outstanding throughout the course of this game. 7 strikeouts and the 1 walk was to the last batter he faced. We have seen this from Brendan Beck time and time again in AAA. Just an outstanding performance here. He's had the relief appearance in the big leagues in his debut. the one start on July 4th, and I think what Yankee fans have seen in the Bronx is not indicative of what the pitcher, the caliber of arm he has been for Scranton Wilkes-Barre this season. It is so very difficult to judge on 2 appearances.
Yes, it is. And he got thrown into the fire. And again, it's just difficult. You're dealing with emotions and the idea that you finally made it. You dreamt of it since you're a little leaguer and you get up there. And the first game, I believe the Yankees won. I mean, he only pitched a couple innings. He gave up a couple of runs. I think he pitched 3 innings, 2 runs allowed. But if you pitched enough that where the team wins, you wear that on your shield and you say, yeah, I got a notch under my holster. But he's been tremendous here at the AAA level. And we've seen pitchers come through here. I mean, Joe Rao pitched with the Phillies, and he was like as good as you could possibly get with AAA ball, and he had an ERA just a little over 1.
It was 14-0.
Yeah, I mean, that was unbelievable. And then he gets called up, and I interviewed him as he got off the bus, and he's like, yeah, like it was like 1 in the morning. He came back from a trip, but he gets called up. And he didn't have the same success, but it was amazing how confident he was at the AAA level of going after those hitters. And again, it's a fine line because you might throw a 1-1 slider that's a couple inches off the plate. This is before all kind of challenges and stuff. And major league players don't even go after it because they know they'll get another chance. But the minor leaguers, they're a little aggressive, and you can expand that strike zone.
Here's the former Yankee farmhand Eric Wagaman. First pitch from Zach Messenger, runs low, saw his numbers. Has been a very effective arm this season. 6-1 with a 3.02 ERA. We've seen that pitch count when needed push up in the 40s and 50s. That's maybe not tonight for Zach Messenger, but we've seen it as required. Wagman a foul ball back. Singled back in the second inning. Popped one foul to Marco Luciano down the right field side in his second trip to the plate. He was the big at bat in last night's game. Came up with the bases loaded, tied the game, and gave Syracuse the lead with 1 swing in a 5-4 Mets win. 1-1 finds it. Messenger really features that sinker, 95, 96 miles per hour. It's got some heavy drop on it when he needs it to.
Yeah, that's the word heavy. It's like Ramiro Mendoza used to throw. It wasn't necessarily fast, but it was thick and heavy.
1-2, change up, can't get the swing. Wagaman, 2 hits, 6 at bats, the 2 runs batted in this series. 32 games in AAA for 2 different teams. Some time in the Twins organization, played 18 games for St. Paul in the International League. 2-2, flared it back. Now his 15th game playing for Syracuse. A veteran presence, talked about his numbers, more big league time than AAA time in his career. Two off the plate. He's one of those guys for years. You're tracking who might be a rail rider some point in some season. So when he's playing an A-ball, double-A, keeping an eye, trying to see what he's doing, and he might be a future corner infielder. Just off the edge, J.C. Escarra wants to challenge, though, on a 4-seamer. And it's going to be awfully tight. Wagaman will look up at the board, and it is a strike. It just grazes the outer edge of the zone. A huge strikeout for Zach Messenger.
By a seam, and that was close. And we're at a critical point in the game. I mean, it's a 2-0 game. 2 guys on. You get the bases loaded if you're the Mets, if that's a ball. And Escarra took his time. That was the one he waited on. He could have challenged early. Had a challenge and a good one to get the strikeout.
Christian Arroyo, here's a back pick by J.C. behind Morel. Is really catching Marco Luciano on the run more than it was Morel back at the base.
I've tried that a couple times with 2 outs, and again, I don't think you're necessarily trying to get the runner out. Just trying to keep him honest and give your infielders a chance to get a force out, or maybe give an outfielder a chance to get an assist at the plate.
The 0-1. Crackback grounder towards third. Cabrera's going to wait on it, touch the bag, take the force there, and bring the inning to a close. A hit and a walk before Brendan Beck leave, and Scranton Wilkes-Barre able to get out of the inning. Rail Riders, thanks to Zach Messenger, a strikeout clutch with the challenge and a grounder to third, brings the top of the seventh to a close. 2-0 Scranton Wilkes-Barre in front. Stretch time and music. Stand up, stretch them out no matter where you are. This is Rail Riders Baseball on the Yes Network. Country night with a little John Denver here at PNC Field. Country Roads taking us all home. Scranton Wilkes-Barre a 2-0 advantage. Outstanding job by Brendan Beck tonight. 3 hits, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk over 6 1/3 scoreless innings. Zach Messenger able to come in and clean that up for Brendan Beck. The offense needs to get something clicking here to provide a little support. They're 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, I think last night it was 13 guys left on base, and they're leaving a little bit too much there. And it's just that gray area you got to clean up a little bit, because even though Beck has been outstanding and Messenger and the challenge was outstanding there in the last inning, it's too close for comfort. And in the 8th inning last night, that's where the Mets made their move and turned the table. All of a sudden there was a new leader, and they get the win 5-4. So got to finish the job. Pitching has been outstanding, but got to get a few more runs here to make it a little bit easier on everybody.
Jeffrey Yan taking over. Kennedy Corona, J.C. Escara, and Spencer Jones due up against the Southpaw. Electric arm and electric celebrations to go with it. Corona first pitch swinging out towards left. Melendez tracking just in front of the warning track. Make the catch, 1 down in the inning. Jan has been notable on social media for his celebrations after strikeouts. He came up in the Rockies organization and has had some time elsewhere. Rail Riders faced him the other day, and there were no strikeouts. There was nothing to watch. Just a clean, quick inning. I think it was all 3 groundouts. Not a whole lot against him in the Tuesday series opener.
No histrionics either, but he kind of looks like a Chapman, a Aroldis Chapman, with the size and the, not necessarily the fastball, although that was 99, so that's not too far removed from Aroldis Chapman, but big 6'6" lefty and attitude on the hill.
It's a very interesting motion, the way he steps back to the side towards third. Gets ahead of J.C. Escara. We've seen this over the years with that pitch clock. You start your motion, that stops the timer. A lot of pitchers have added a little flair to their motion. And you'll see Jan, he comes set and then steps to third, and that's when his motion, his delivery starts, so the clock stops. Sean Boyle did it most notably, I think, the last couple of years, where he would take that step back, a little motion of the glove or something along those lines. And maybe that's not the case. That's not why. Maybe it's always what it's been, but it does turn into an intrinsic value of making the motion the way he does.
Whoa, I get it.
Strikes out J.C. Escara.
Do we have a replay on that reaction? That was funky. Look at him laugh.
Spencer Jones to the plate.
Well, he's funky but chic, I'll tell you. That's a split out there. I haven't seen a pitcher do that. I'm trying to think of who's the Twins pitcher that used to do the bow and arrow.
First pitch to Spencer was a called strike. Again, went 3 up, 3 down through the Rail Riders order when he pitched on Tuesday night. Scranton Wilkes-Barre's 13-5 win. The 0-1 drops it down and inside. For Syracuse this season, 10 appearances, 2-1 with a 2.38 ERA, 25 strikeouts to 8 walks entering. 1-1. Runs it inside, nearly found the barrel as Spencer was just trying to hold back. 2 balls and 1 strike the count. That'll miss upstairs. On the 40-man roster for the Mets, 29-year-old from San Rafael del Yuma, Dominican Republic. Parts of 7 seasons in the minors, some time playing overseas, including 2 years in Japan. A year in Japan, I should say. It's outside ball 4. Jones will work the walk.
Now, with Jones being deliberate on the hill in a long, lanky, kind of like a folding chair unraveling, I think he's a guy you might want to run on. Now, again, he's a lefty, so it's a little bit difficult to get the lead. But Spencer Jones has speed. There's 2 outs. You got a 1-run or 2-run game. You want to make it 1 extra run. See if Jones is going, and if he's going, I'd like to see him going early in the count.
First pitch upstairs on Luciano. You see how that motion changes whenever the runner's on at first base, so he's not taking that deliberate step back. That was a given. How much it would change? We didn't see him with anybody on the other day. Luciano watches up and outside. Marco's 0 for 3, strikeout, fly out, and a pop out. 1 run in the second on a sac fly, a run in the third for Scranton Wilkes-Barre on a Spencer Jones base hit. And that's it for the run support. 2-0. Up and in on Luciano. At the left-hander, Yankiel Fernandez awaiting on deck if Scranton Wilkes-Barre continues this inning on. Christian Arroyo, second baseman, shifted near the bag. They play pull side shift for Marco. It's a ball upstairs and a 4-pitch walk. So after the strikeout, John Nagowski, the manager, is coming out and he's bringing a trainer with him.
Yeah, he didn't look good there that at bat. Once he went to the stretch, nothing was close, and he seems like something is annoying him. His foot.
A.J. Sager, the pitching coach. The 4-seam fastball topped out at 95. So is there enough of the velocity there? The trainer, Austin Dayton, out to take a look at Jeffrey Yan. Pitching coach joins in. The manager talking to the lefty. And again, on the 40-man roster, so you take nothing for granted and want to make sure he's okay after back-to-back walks. A guy that I mentioned had only walked 8 batters prior to tonight, walks back-to-back hitters, and that's going to do it. Syracuse will have all the time they need on a pitching change.
Could it be his left ankle on that replay?
Perhaps. They get an arm coming out of the bullpen as Matt Seelinger was getting loose earlier. So Scranton Wilkes-Barre will have to wait this out. With the injury, the pitcher was not warming up. Even if he took a couple of throws in the bullpen, that counts for nothing. You bring the new arm in, you're allowed to give him all the time he needs to make sure that he's ready to go. So Seelinger will come in, and he can bide his time to get himself fully prepared. You get that 8-pitch or so mix whenever you come out of the bullpen. He's going to basically come in not quite cold, but awfully close to it. So the call to the bullpen here. Scranton Wilkes-Barre holding on to this 2-0 lead. We were talking about the Rail Riders going on to Iowa next week, their first trip there since the 1990 season as the Red Barons against the Cubs back in those days. Hard to believe it's 2026 season. We've got 1 week left in July. We find our way into August. Everything from here on out, it's a 6-game series, road, home, back and forth we go. After this week against Syracuse, there are just 4 homestands remaining. You get Rochester, August 4th through 9th. The tail end of August, the Charlotte Knights come into town. We go into September. We host the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs that first week and into Labor Day weekend. And then we wrap up the season here at home against the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. It's one of those things. You know, it's game 96 of the year. Hard to believe that we're this far into the season already, and yet it is 96 games in.
I think the players have gotten used to the way the schedule goes. In 2020, it was a COVID year and everything had changed. they kind of adapted what the Japanese league does, which is you're off Monday, you pitch on Sunday, and you pitch your ace pitcher on Sunday. That's what they do in Japan anyway. And then you're off Monday. Now, you've said there's a yin and a yang to the whole thing. Like sometimes it's okay, but it can get a little bit tough, especially if you have back-to-back road trips. I believe Syracuse is on that right now, right? They have back-to-back roadies. That gets a little tough, but it's still easier than I think than going to 3 cities in 1 week, or including your home park sometimes. And that used to be the case in the International League. You'd play a weekend series here, and then you'd go to Rochester for a couple, and then maybe you'd have to go down from Rochester to Norfolk. And that'd be like, whoa, that's a lot of traveling. But now, one park, you pack your bags, you're spending 6 days in one stadium, and Iowa's fun. The corn must be high, knee-high past the 4th of July or something.
The Field of Dreams game is coming up.
Dyersville, right?
Phillies and Twins. I looked, it's like 3 hours from Iowa. I don't know if I'd make that trip if I had a car. I won't. I'm not going to worry about it. But
well, it's in Iowa.
It is in Iowa, but
you mean
it isn't like it is the opposite side of the state, Iowa.
I got you. So where do the Iowa Cubs play? Iowa
Des Moines.
City? Oh, Des Moines.
The east side, and then
Yeah.
Dyersville is in the lower left corner of the state. During that, you see Matt Seelinger getting loose and taking whatever he needs to get ready. Also a change for Scranton Wilkes-Barre. The numbers here on the right-handed reliever. His second appearance in this series. There's a pinch runner at first base. It's George Lombard Jr. running for Marco Luciano. Now we'll see what the defensive alignment is. Does George come in and play second for the final 2 innings? Do you move Cabrera over from short to second base? We'll see what Shelley Duncan decides to do. But George wasn't in the lineup. Utilize him here as a runner and a defensive change ultimately late.
The end of the last inning, that little chopper to third, wasn't that to Cabrera?
It was.
So he's not at short anymore anyway. He's over at third when that little chopper got broken back. Hard must have come out of the game.
Fair point.
Yeah. So I think Lombard will be going to short. I'm glad he's going out there because maybe we'll see a little bit of his element with the glove. And the other thing here is, I don't think with 2 outs you try a double steal, but the bug is in there. Then they could possibly do it because Jones has good speed also, but you do have a runner in scoring position already.
Runner on first and second. Yanquiel Fernandez watches a first pitch breaking ball. Unfortunate injury for Jeffrey Yan, but for Yanquiel's sake, he gets to face the right-handed arm with 2 outs in the inning. Jack of second, 0-1. That'll miss low.
Well, you mentioned on cue that Jan has a history of histrionics, and then he strikes out a guy and apparently injured himself on the takedown. Don't know that for a fact, but it appeared it could have been the case.
1-1. Swing through and miss.
And he strikes the guy out, and the next 2 guys he walks pretty quickly.
Time taken here. Ball and 2 strikes the count. It was Hardman at third base on that grounder. If I said Cabrera, I apologize. Watching the replay back, see the bright red shoes from Oswaldo running in from short. Swing and miss. That'll close down the inning. Once again, Scranton Wilkes-Barre gets runners on, including a runner to scoring position, and can't do anything with it. They leave 2 on the bases here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. No runs, 2 walks, 2 left on. We go to the 8th. It's 2-0 Scranton Wilkes-Barre over Syracuse. Not too far away from PNC Field, Lake Scranton. Easy track to jog or walk around just north of the ballpark. Scranton Wilkes-Barre holding this 2-0 lead as we find our way into the top half of the 8th inning. George Lombard Jr. stays in to play short. Oswaldo Cabrera moves from short to second in the top half of the 8th inning. And it's Hayden Singer, their catcher, coming up.
Easy 3.5-mile walk around Lake Scranton. You can do it in 22 minutes with a bite.
1 for a called strike. Back in my running days, it was a fun spot to go.
Oh, yeah. I think it's closed down right now. They're doing repairs down by the dam that you saw on the left side of the lake is shut down.
The 0-2 from Messenger. Swing and miss. Singer down to one knee, chasing. Came in back of Brendan Beck in the 7th inning. Got the strikeout of Wagaman. Force out, grounded to third. Now 3 straight retired as Scranton Wilkes-Barre gets one more arm started out in the bullpen. It's the left-hander Will Bryan. Short 0 for 2 out of the 9 spot for Syracuse. Breaking ball for a strike. A little bit of news outside of the Yankees realm, Yankees-Mets realm, but it's actually involving some former Yankees and Rail Riders. The 0-1 got him chasing. Pirates have acquired former Rail Rider and Yankee Ron Marinaccio, who's recently designated for assignment. Dennis Santana, a former Rail Rider and Yankee, designated for assignment. Now, he was in that dust-up with Jose Caballero.
Yes, he was. He took issue with Jose stepping out and then stepping in right at 8 seconds.
Challenge here by J.C. Escara on a pitch just up from Zach Messenger, so Escara will lose that challenge. Rail Riders have one remaining. Syracuse still has both in their arsenal. So just interesting to see how it plays out. Santana had been a big part of the Pirates' bullpen the last couple of years. It's upstairs. But now an opportunity for Ron Marinaccio back on the eastern side of the country for the Brick, New Jersey native. Two. Grounder to short. Backhanded by Lombard Jr. Will plant and throw. Across in time.
Adam, you mentioned the Caballero thing with Santana, and again, it happened yesterday, and a different result. So this time the umpire, right at 8.5 seconds, I'd say, right before it turned to 8, called it on Caballero, and he didn't like it, and he said, "You're picking on me." But the umpires admitted that they changed the rule after the Santana incident because the bench is cleared and the bullpens come in and they just jog and don't do anything. And it was the Santana Caballero thing. They changed the rule, did not tell anybody, but it's basically the Caballero rule now that he's going to be accountable for what he does, and it's not just going to be against the pitcher all the time. So they don't want to have this. And you mentioned this earlier, a couple innings when we were talking about second base gets moved in the middle of the season, and you're trying to look at the data from a half a season where it's here and a half a season where it's there. But usually you don't see an umpire changing the way things are called on the field in the middle of a series and don't alert both dugouts ahead of time. I think that's why Aaron Boone had a real problem with the call.
Nothing into the count on Morabito. Will fall off the plate low. That was certainly an interesting couple of days in that series with Pittsburgh. You have a lot of major leaguers, I think, reports come out a couple of times this year, what they like about the challenges, what they don't like. And it's been fine-tuned and nothing is ever final. They're going to continue to tweak and make it what's best. So whether there's more long-term out of it, I think you see it more in the NFL, like we need to adjudicate this differently, but it comes out in competition committees after the year, that sort of thing. We'll see. We'll see where it goes down the road. Check swing. Foul back. Short once. Catcher's interference on J.C. Escara. John Nagowski, the manager, coming down the line. Home plate umpire Brock Ballou is going to get all 3 other umpires together here to question if there was catcher's interference on J.C.
I think they might get this call. Ballou, yep. And only because when I saw the recoil by the catcher, Escara, and again, they're looking for help. Ballou trying to get help, but I don't see any kind of confirmation from the other umpires that they saw it well, but it clearly was interference.
They will get the catcher's interference call. Goes in as an error for JC, and that puts Nick Morabito on the bases. Shelly Duncan's going to take this chance to walk here. He had the lefty Will Bryan getting loose, and you see the lefty of MJ Melendez on deck. Umpires utilizing their communication system to explain the catcher's interference call. The only thing that you can challenge here in the International are balls and strikes. Catcher, pitcher, hitter. That's it. You can't challenge that particular play. There was a play at home plate last night where we could argue that Hayden Sanger didn't provide a lane for George Lombard Jr. to slide in. In the majors, you might see that play questioned, but that's not something we have the ability or capability of doing here in AAA. So it is really then incumbent on the umpires. Credit to Brock Ballou getting everybody together to see what they all saw. It does open up an opportunity with the tying run coming to the plate for the Syracuse Mets on that catcher's interference.
And their leadoff guy, the leadoff guy in the batting order, not in the inning, but Morabito's on, so he has speed. And you know what JC was trying to do there? He was trying to frame a two-strike pitch and get the last strike, get the last out of the inning. But just look at Shelly, Brock. He just wants to talk to Brock about it, about maybe how they arrived at the decision. I don't think he's questioning the call, just how you went about it.
We had a call during the Buffalo series where catcher's interference was called. The umpires got together. They didn't change the call. You could see it clearly on the replay that the Bison's catcher, when he reached out, bat never touched the glove. Just something on how he, as you use it, recoiled his hand. His mitt popped off, and it looked like interference. When you watch the replay, you don't really understand why the glove came off, because the bat didn't get him. It was just how he pulled his hand back, and the glove just stayed out in the air. So it's an imperfect game. You're doing the best you can based on what you see. And the umpires award first base here, correctly so, as it turns out, for Nick Morabito. That'll send MJ Melendez to the plate against the left-hander Will Bryan. Bryan has been sharp for Scranton Wilkes-Barre, had a stint on the roster in May, then back down to Somerset, and midpoint of June and on has been in the bullpen. The lone lefty out of the bullpen for Scranton Wilkes-Barre this season, save a little bit from Kyle Carr.
10 innings is not a lot to go on, but 13 strikeouts in 10 innings is promising, so it obviously shows he has strikeout ability, and lefty has the advantage here.
Ball outside on Melendez. 0 for 3 tonight. Couple of strikeouts. He's hitless in 7 at-bats in the series, but he's walked 5 times over the first 2 games. Morabito's got 31 steals. We'll get the pick throw here. Trying to shut down this inning. Rail Riders will send Cabrera, Hardman, Martinez Jr. to the plate against Matt Seelinger in the bottom of the 8th inning. Another throw and a swipe tag back. One of the best qualities of this 2026 Syracuse Mets team is their proficiency on the bases. Entering play 153 steals. That's 4th most in the International League out of 20 clubs. Up and outside. Rail Riders 121, 8th most. A couple of teams with some premier base runners. Duke Ellis for Scranton Wilkes-Barre, Morabito, and Jiquan Bay for Syracuse. 2-0. That'll find the zone on a sinker. 87 miles per hour, just at the bottom for Will Bryan. Two-one. Excuse me, check swing. Bounces between coach's box and the third base bag. Fortunately for Scranton Wilkes-Barre, because of the pull side shift you've got going for MJ Melendez, Tyler Hardman was well off the bat.
Yeah, the Mets have not had a rally, and the Yankees or the Rail Riders, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and 7th left 2 runners on in each of those 4 innings, and then an extra one in the other inning. So 10 guys left on base through 7.
Two-two. Popped and foul out of play. O'Brien, 10th round pick in the 2022 draft. Just a couple of weeks removed from the 2026 draft. A lot of those players signed and might start their respective seasons soon. A swing and miss. Bryan gets him out of the inning. Inherits the runner on the catcher's interference call, and he strikes out M.J. Melendez to shut it down.
He needs a last name, so it's Will Bryan Succeeds.
Works for me.
Okay.
Midway through the 8th inning, it's 2-0 Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Rail Riders baseball tonight on the Yes Network. Fernandez with 2 on the bases. Scranton Wilkes-Barre 8 left on tonight. 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position. See hitting coach Mike Mergenthaler talking to Ernesto Martinez Jr., who's in the hole. 2-0 on Cabrera, switch hitter. Hitless tonight, drops the average to 282. Fouls this off. Had that just devastating ankle injury on the road at Seattle, May of last year, trying to score on a sac fly. We talked about it before. Had the wherewithal to go back and tap the plate and make sure that he got the RBI for Aaron Judge while he was in pain. Missed the rest of the season, came back to spring training this year. Option to Scranton Wilkes-Barre right out of the gates, out of spring training. Took him a while to get it going, but he is such a likable guy, a consistent presence. Can do nothing but root for Oswaldo Cabrera. Takes the walk here on 5 pitches.
Yeah, you can't wipe that smile off his face. Broken leg or whatever it takes. J.C. Escara is the same way. Velasquez, when he was here last year, he's, you know, Andrew was a very popular player in that clubhouse. And it's a long grind. If you can find somebody that can stay level at a game where you're going to fail 70% of the time, that's impressive.
Ball upstairs to Tyler Hardman. Double to lead off the 4th inning. Another one of those knocks where Scranton Wilkes-Barre just couldn't do anything with it. Rail Riders limited to 5 hits tonight. Called strike pending, picking it up here in the 8th inning. It'll be the first time post All-Star break that they haven't reached double figures in hits.
Hardman must be looking at that hole. There it is right there between first and second, trying to get a double play from the Syracuse point of view, trying to move the runner over to second or maybe even a third with a base hit is Hardman's thought.
Turn this foul.
And Seelinger, of course, is doing the opposite. He's trying to keep that ball inside and kind of cater everything toward the way his defense is set up in this situation.
Syracuse, top third of the league in errors, but they're also near the top of the league in double plays turned. So a lot of times, more often than not, if they make that miscue, they find a way to get their pitcher out of it. Ground ball through the left side. Stabbing effort by Zach Short onto second. And he'll get Oswaldo Cabrera. What a play by the veteran infield. Just laying out, thinking he's not going to have a throw anywhere, gets the force at second base.
Great play at short, maybe even a better play at second. I didn't think they had a chance. Cabrera had a good jump. There was a slight hesitation. Wow. That foot was slightly up in the air. Like when he started the slide, he hit the dirt and the foot went up in the air, and it's a bang-bang play. If he was out, and he called him out, it must have been that the foot was slightly above the bag because it appeared that he had beaten a throw to second base. Bang, bang call, 1 out, 1 on. Chance for Syracuse again to get out of a jam where the Rail Riders have an opportunity to get an extra run. They're not getting it done yet. Still have a chance with Martinez.
6-4 on the putout. Ernesto watches a strike. Now, if Cabrera goes head first, that left hand towards the base, maybe he's got an opportunity for it. But just the way you slide in, and if that right foot underneath the left leg pops your foot up off the bag too much, it opens up that window. You're right. Tremendous play right up the middle by both Short and Christian Arroyo.
See if you get a look at it. Like the slide, the pop-up slide, and the foot is up. Great stretch. That second baseman is like a first baseman there trying to stretch it out. Now, one thing you could do, and you don't do it in this situation, but say there was a runner on third, and this is the 9th inning, and the game is tied. What I would do,
got it. That's a lot there for me. Got it.
But I would run straight through the bag if I'm Cabrera. Like, I stand and try to just run and beat it, because if you beat it, then the winning run comes in. But you don't see runners ever do that.
I think we've seen it a couple of times in the big leagues this year.
And I saw it once when Tyler Wade was playing short, and he could not understand, and it was like an extra inning game, and the guy tried to run through the bag, and he was like not happy because he was wondering, how are we going to get spiked? And you could see the player was trying to say, like, I'm trying to beat it out because now this run comes in, and even though I'm going to be out for running out of the baseline and running up toward the left fielder, And I'm like sitting there looking like, I get why he did it. It's just unusual to see. But here, with the force out, you got to slide.
Martinez Jr. watches down and in. That'll work the count full 3-2. Zach Short was in the Yankees system during spring training. Traded to the Nationals right at the end of spring. Could have been a rail rider. Martinez Jr. will take his time here. Ernesto 0 for 2, a sac fly that gave the Rail Riders the 1-0 lead in the second inning. Hardman now at first. Turn foul. Leaping out of the way was Robert Ginther III, our first base umpire. And bat continues for Ernesto. Infield thinking double play. It's what got Syracuse out of the threat for Scranton Wilkes-Barre in the 8th inning yesterday. Ronnie Mauricio fielded a ground ball, stepped to second, threw on to first to get J.C. Escar to close down the inning. Swing and miss at a ball in the dirt. Second strikeout for Seelinger. Now 2 outs in the inning. That'll bring Duke Ellis to the plate. Bullpen quiet. Behind Will Bryan. He's going to see Ronnie Mauricio, the switch hitter, the righty bat of Christopher Morel, and Ryan Clifford due up in the 9th inning, pending any changes during play. Duke sees a first pitch called strike. Ellis now 4 for 10 in the series with a run batted in. 0 for 3 tonight. Crack bat punch down the right field side. If it's fair, it's trouble. It's foul by about 10 feet. Hardman had some speed motoring around. Whether that would have been enough to get him all the way in. Instead, Duke will get a new stick, head back in. 0-2 the count on the Rail Riders left fielder.
Yeah, with 2 outs, he probably would have been sent if the right fielder was trying to dig the ball out like he was digging for an Egyptian relic. But a clean play probably would have held him in third. But you put the pressure on the defense. You have a lead. You can try to scratch out that extra run. You make them execute there. But like you said, it went about 10 feet foul. Opportunity there, though, for Ellis. That was kind of a good swing.
Ellis, for what it's worth, sitting on 80 stolen bases. We haven't had a chance to see him on the path tonight. Swing and miss. He is 2 away from matching Nick Punto's franchise record of 82 stolen bases for his career. Doesn't get the chance here. The strikeout will close down the inning. No runs, a walk, 1 left on the right side of the infield. We're trying to make a 2-0 lead stick as we move to the 9th. Will Bryan back out there when we return on the YES Network. 3 hits, 7 strikeouts and a walk. Zach Messenger an inning and a third. 2 strikeouts, 0s otherwise. Will Bryan struck out MJ Melendez with the runner on. And now we'll see the heart of the order starting with Ronnie Mauricio, the switch hitter who bats from the right side against the southpaw.
Would be remiss if we didn't mention Syracuse doing a good job with their bullpen too, scoreless, coming in for Clay Holmes.
Taken for a ball. Syracuse has used in back-to-back games 8 pitchers. Back-to-back bullpen games as it ultimately turned out to be in this series. Mauricio watches a strike he'd like to challenge. Game 1 of the series, Jack Wenninger went 3 innings, and then they rattled off the arms. Call confirmed as a strike, so Syracuse has 1 to work with.
Yeah, use them or lose them. I think he thought it was a strike, but figured why not?
A ball, 1 strike the count. Leadoff hitter, top half of the 9th inning. Swing and miss. Between Beck and Messenger, 9 strikeouts combined between the 2 arms. Had 1 from Bryan in the 8th inning. The 1-2 misses up.
You see that box score 2-5-0, and then the other one, if it's 0-0, I think of Don Larson's perfect game. That was the box score in the '56 World Series.
2-2. Line foul finds the netting. First base side. Game 4 of this series, Friday night. Adam Kloffenstein for Scranton Wilkes-Barre against Jonah Tong. 2-2. Got him swinging. Mascara doesn't hold on, so Mauricio stays alive. JC says it's on the transfer. Peel down the first base to Robert Ginther, the third, says no.
Well, obviously it must have been tipped. I can't, well, let's see. JC saying it might have been on the transfer. It looked like he might have been throwing it down to first.
It buys another pitch for Ronnie Mauricio. He's content with it being a strikeout.
Yeah.
2-2. Line drive center field. Corona is there. He started in a little too quick. Has to reach up to make the catch. All for nothing in the end. Mauricio retired. Instead of a strikeout, a line out to center field, 1 away. Top half of the 9th inning.
Looked like one of my routes to a ball in the outfield.
I think his was better.
You never saw me play, and you're saying that.
Here's Christopher Morel coming to the plate. Morel 1 for 3 tonight. Singled against Brendan Beck in the 7th inning. Veteran bat came up through the Cubs system. Breaking ball down and inside. Over 300 average in AAA this season. A little bit of time in the big leagues as well. 1-0. Loops the breaking ball curve, drops it down to 74 wide. Lefty Ryan Clifford is on deck, and Scranton Wilkes-Barre is getting Yerry De Los Santos started in the bullpen. 2-0. Got him swinging. Bryan going to have a chance to stay in, you would think, and face the lefty Ryan Clifford. But if Syracuse gets beyond that with the tying run or the win standing at the plate, 4 consecutive right-handed hitters at the bottom of the order for John Nagowski tonight. That's where Shelley, I think, makes that move. You've got Yerry ready if you don't end the game within the 3 batters here to start this 9th inning.
Called a strike on the batter.
2-2. Foul back, and this gets Brock Ballou. Violation there to take the count 2-2, and everybody quick to turn around and check on the umpire.
And this is where you delay a little bit from all points of view. Oof, right on the shoulder.
Two balls, 2 strikes the count. JC sets up low. Outer black called strike 3. Curveball again, 74 gets Morel watching.
Late breaking curveball that Morel kind of gave up on, and it backdoored its way over to the corner of the plate. Yeah, that looks like a ball, and then look at that. A lot of break and a nice job by J.C. Escara framing the pitch. So now Will Bryan earn the save.
I see what you did there. I'm going to move on. Here's Ryan Clifford. Worked a walk in his last at-bat. That was the last batter faced by Brendan Beck. 0 for 2. A couple of walks in this series to go 0 for 9 at the plate as well. Deal back with the sinker at 90 for a called strike.
Rail Riders in this situation probably like the matchup. Lefty and lefty with a guy scuffling at the plate in Clifford.
Ground ball, backhanded by the shortstop, Lombard Jr. across to first, and that'll do it. 2-0 shutout win for the Rail Riders, taking down the Syracuse Mets at PNC Field tonight. It's the 6th shutout for Scranton Wilkes-Barre this season, the 4th of which started by Brendan Beck. He gets the win. He moves to 8-2. A save for Will Bryan. That's his first in AAA. And the lost charge to the Major League rehabber Clay Holmes. He falls to 0-1.
The International League Pitcher of the Month for June is doing the job in July. We wanted to mention Lombard Jr. tonight, and we have an opportunity. He picked that clean. And obviously, once the catch was made, the throw was pretty easy to get done. But Bryan happy with the results, and so is Shelley Duncan. They scrapped out a couple of runs against Clay Holmes, making a rehab start, who pitched quite well. And maybe a couple opportunities to get by the Rail Riders to tack on runs. But, boy, when you have Beck pitching like he's pitching and the bullpen doing the job, that was a nice, tidy 2-0 win.
7 strikeouts, 3 hits allowed, over 6 1/3 by Brendan Beck. Zach Messenger goes an inning and a third, a couple of strikeouts, and then Will Bryan the final inning and a third. He got out of that base runner situation with the catcher's interference in the 8th inning, 3 up, 3 down in the 9th. A lot of good things, and once again, the Brendan Beck that we have seen in the big leagues, not necessarily indicative of what the opportunities granted to him here in AAA. He has been outstanding for Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and just looking forward to see this success translate for him at that major league level, given the next chance.
Well, his ERA was 3.09 when he came in, and he was striking out a batter an inning, and he went 93 1/3 innings, coming in with 93 strikeouts. And how many Ks tonight? Was it 7?
7 strikeouts, lowers the ERA down to 2.89.
You know, you can't ask for more than that. Not only no runs, but very few base runners, no rally to speak of for Syracuse. And again, 2 runs doesn't win you many games, but when Beck is on, yeah, you'll take it.
Rail Riders get the victory tonight. Jim, it's been a pleasure. Do want to thank Brendan Rivers and Abby Kopak for taking care of us in the production room and here in the booth, everything they do, and our amazing crew on the cameras, the graphics, the sound, everything tonight. Michael Wolf back in the production room as well. It's been a pleasure. We'll do this again soon.
You know, I didn't get a country western hat. I have to get a hat on my way out. And maybe I'll have to come by Saturday and get a Hawaiian shirt instead.
And put those two together, I do believe.
Just create something.
It's a 2-0 final. Scranton Wilkes-Barre takes down Syracuse. For Jim Coles, I'm Adam Marco. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks for tuning in this evening on the Yes Network.